This one's different. We've got a man they used to call the City Gentleman. Noel Razor Smith is in the building, a man who carried out multiple armed bank robberies in a suit and tie. Yes, different levels. He started his life at crime at just 14 years of age and over the years racked up 58 criminal convictions, eventually handing himself a 30-year prison sentence. That's a lifetime. But this is where the story takes a turn, because inside prison, Noel did something most people would never expect. He actually learnt and taught himself to read and write. From that cell, he started to tell his story and went on to write a few kind words and a loaded gun and a rusty gun, turning a life of crime into a life of words. Now he's a respected writer and journalist, a man who completely flipped his life around. But make no mistake, the stories in this one are real. Armed robberies, prison life, and what it actually takes to change. No filter, no nonsense, just the truth. And we will see you on the other side. All right, now listen up. The world moves fast these days. 1 minute everything's normal, the next minute there's disruption, unrest, travel issues, cyber threats, or an incident kicking off somewhere across the globe. And the difference between staying ahead of it or getting caught out by it comes down to information, proper information. That's where GRI-24 comes in. GRI-24 is a fully managed protective threat intelligence service from Bradbury's Group, providing 24/7 global threat monitoring, continuous risk assessment, and real-time analyst-led intelligence support. This isn't about drowning in alerts, scrolling through headlines, or trying to piece together information from 10 different platforms. The GRI-24 team cuts through the noise, validates the information properly, assesses the real-world impact, and delivers concise, decision-ready intelligence that actually matters to you. Whether you're protecting personnel, managing international travel, safeguarding assets, or operating across unpredictable environments, GRI-24 helps organisations stay informed, stay prepared, and stay operational. From enhanced travel risk visibility and geofence threat alerts through to continuous monitoring and rapid intelligence support, everything is built around proactive protection and smarter decision making. Because when situations change quickly, clarity matters. Go check out Bradbury's Group via the link in the description below to learn more about GRI-24. Welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast. My name's Terry Stone, and today we are joined by a guy called Noel Razor Smith. Now, he was a feared bank robber, notorious. He would turn up in a three-piece suit with a bowler hat on. He'd have his briefcase and he'd pull out his shooter and say, I want to make a large withdrawal. Please put your hands together for Mr. Noel Razor Smith's in the house.
How you doing? How you doing? Nice to be here, Terry.
No, good to see you, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. It is Noel Razor Smith.
Yeah.
I'm just checking because for some reason I was trying to do a funny intro for you there, and obviously I got pulled up because I got it wrong. So I'm glad I got it right. But no, thank you so much for coming on. Really good to meet you, and just fascinated. I mean, you know, you've written 9 books today, and you know. For me, I love that, you know, you can obviously grow up on the wrong side of the tracks, go into crime, and then come out the other side and become, I mean, would you call yourself a best-selling crime author or?
It's quite hard. My first book, A Few Kind Words and a Loaded Gun, that sold all around the world. It was nearly $1 million seller.
Such a great title.
Oh man, yeah, it was Al Capone's quote from Al Capone, right, where he said you can get more with a few kind words and a loaded gun than you can with just a few kind words.
Right.
So yeah, I always thought that was a good quotation. But that sold everywhere, all around. I was getting letters. I was in jail when it came out, and I was getting letters from Hong Kong, South Africa, Australia. Wow. It really was unreal. The rest of them are sold pretty well, yeah. But I mean, a lot of them are biographical, so
right.
I rarely write about other criminals. I did do The Dirty Dozen,
Yeah.
Because Sean and Vinny are mates of mine, and their story is such a fascinating story. Most prolific armed robbers in this country,
Wow.
Amazing pair of geezers. But
Are they out or are they?
yeah, as far as I know, they're both out now. Yeah. All the gang's out except for gentleman Jimmy Doyle. He died in Ireland a few years ago. He was the leader of the Dirty Dozen originally. And they were a North West London gang they was just, that's it, for about 6 or 7 years. Flying squad could never catch them.
Wow.
Pulled guns on them and everything, pulled guns on the police. And like they weren't really super violent, but they were good blaggers. They had it off to a T. They used to use motorbikes. Right. So, for them, it was like it was with me when I was young. It was an everyday job. You just, that was your bit of work, You went to work every day.
So instead of waking up in the morning and going to work, that'd be it. You'd have your breakfast and you go and rob a bank or post office, and then was anything off limits for you, or was it just whatever?
We'd rob anywhere where there was money. If there was money there, I mean, I started out robbing when I was a kid, robbing shops and rent offices. I don't know if you ever remember rent offices on the estate where you used to pay your rent.
I remember you used to get the. Is that where was there also a place that used to pay people the dole money as well?
Yeah, but that was different. We never robbed them.
Right, okay. But it was the people that go and pay the rent on there.
Yeah. You used to have a building on most estates that would look after your repairs and all that. And on rent day, you go over and pay your rent. There was no cards or anything. You bought your rent book and it was all cash. Right. So we used to rob them. And they was always good for probably under $1,000 each time in those days, but good money for us.
But $1,000 then was, what's that, about 20 grand
yeah,
now?
about 20 grand, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was a good game until they shut them all down. And been a story of my life.
Is that your fault now?
Yeah. Well, you know what? My favourite bank to rob at one time was the Midland Bank. They don't exist no more. And I think that's down to me. We robbed every Midland in London and the home counties. Some of them we robbed 3 or 4 times. Wow. And they were a great bank, the Midland Bank, the listening bank, and they really did listen. They'd have the money up on the counter as soon as you was coming through the door, that kind of turnout.
Right.
And they became the HSBC. HSBC bought them out.
Right, I remember that, yeah.
And when I was getting out of prison the last time, what they do is they say, right, you're going out into the world now, you've got to get a bank account. And they say they help you to set up a bank account. Now, their bank accounts from the prison were set up with HSBC. My first day down the bank to open my bank account, the geezer behind the jump went to me, I've seen you before. I said, no, you ain't, mate. I've been in jail for the past 10 years. No, you ain't, mate. And he's doing the paperwork, and he went, you robbed my branch in Balham. And I'm thinking, yeah, I did. I robbed that 3 times. So I went, really? I said, I don't recognise you. He went, well, you wouldn't. He said, I was up in the box giving evidence against you. He said, I recognise you because I could see you clearly in the box. So, and I went, you all right about it? He went, new bank, new times. And I thought, great.
That is so
but the same bank that I robbed out of business got taken over, and now that's my bank account, the HSBC.
Are you a platinum card holder?
No, I wish I was.
So, whereabouts in London was you brought up now?
Well, I was born in the old Charing Cross Hospital in the Strand, 1960. And my mum and dad were Irish immigrants. So they lived in rooms, really. And first place I lived was Holloway Road. So we were proper North London, us lot, for years and years, until I was about 9. And then when they was doing all the slum clearances in North London, because a lot of the houses have been bombed during the Second World War and there's big gaps in the houses and that. And we got moved to South London because my granddad had a place in South London. Everyone else went North London, went down to Manor House and places like that. There was estates all down there. So we ended up in South London by the time I was about 11. And I sort of, that's where I sort of grew up really, if you like. So a bit of a mixture.
And growing up there, I mean, was you... Did you like school? Was you sort of an academic, or was you just like most kids, sort of unruly and having fun?
Well, what happened was, when we was in North London and moving about to South London, I was always in and out of different schools, because in North London, we only had places for a short time and then you had to move into another set of rooms.
Right.
And so I was always the new boy in school and I used to wait it. Got to South London and I settled down. Went to Henry Cavendish School in Balham, settled down. Then I was 11 and I had to go to secondary school. And just my luck, they sent me to the worst secondary school in South London. Gone now again, pulled down. It's called Tulse Hill Secondary Modern for Boys. 1,800 boys in an 8-storey building of glass and concrete. Wow. All taken from Brixton, Clapham, Balham, all around them areas. You can imagine what it was like, all lunatic. Yeah. And it wasn't a school, mate. You'd open a classroom door, there'd be people sitting like the something, and you go to another one and everyone's playing dice or cards or something. It was such a bad school. And the month before they sent me there, it had been on the local news because one of the teachers had to be escorted to his car every night by security guards in case the kids bashed him up. Wow. That's how bad it was. So I ended up in that school, and that school never done me no favours at all. I was bunking it from like day one, you know. I mean, I hated school then. It was just boring as fuck. And the only time I went into school was to have a fight because you'd arrange fights. And I always loved a good tear-up. So you'd sort of arrange fights, so-and-so in class, so-and-so wants to fight you. And there was a place in the school, there was 2 lifts, and one of them didn't stop at the first floor. You know, it was kind of odd numbers. So that was like a little vestibule. And us kids would go in there lunchtime and have a tear-up, all gathered round like, and have a roll around the floor. It weren't nothing, you know, serious.
Yeah.
And in those days, what was big then, you're talking about 1972, 73, was Kung Fu films, Bruce Lee and all that.
Remember, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone's doing Kung Fu, and everyone was Kung Fu fucking fighting.
Did you have your nunchuckers out, Neil?
I did eventually, yeah. But yeah, it was just an horrible school. I mean, there was no learning there. And I used to bunk it, and that's how I ended up in trouble with the police. Really, it's a well-known story. I was bunking it one day with a mate of mine, and was 14, and we were up in Gypsy Hill, a place called Gypsy Hill in South London, and we just walking along, pushing each other and all that, you know what I mean, in school uniform. Suddenly a van pulls up, an old comma van, about 6 geezers jump out, all in plain clothes, look like builders, grab hold of us, they all smelled a drink, threw us into the back of the van and beat the shit out of us. They proper tortured me. They twisted my finger till it snapped. And then when I went unconscious, slapped me round and went to do his other finger. So, and my mate was getting killed in the van. And it turns out they were a burglary squad, well known round that little area as kind of fitting people up all the time. Saw us.
That was Old Bill?
Yeah, they was police.
Right.
Got us in a van down to Gypsy Hill Police Station. We didn't know who the fuck they were. So we're getting battered. We're 14 years old in school uniforms. They drag us out of the van. And this is the worst thing, I think, now that I think back on it, is we're screaming. We're 2 kids being battered, blood everywhere. They dragged us through the offices of the police station where the typists were just sitting there like women, just typing, never even looked.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, this must be a regular thing. So they've got us down in the cells. I got a broken finger. My mate's got a split head. And they said, you're going to admit every burglary that we've got on our books. So we did. What are we going to do? We're 14-year-olds. Did you do that one? Yeah, I've done that one. And we admitted at 63 burglaries.
Wow.
That we hadn't committed. So anyway, when we get to magistrates, could we tell the brief that my mum picks me up at the police station, why is his finger broken? He's got bruises. They said he was burgling an house when we caught him, when we shouted and he fell off the wall. That's how he broke his finger. Right. My mum didn't believe it. So like we ended up with a brief on legal aid. But bearing in mind, we're juveniles. And we've gone to Balham Juvenile Court, and it just so happened that the magistrate there, it was a woman, looked at the case and she went, but she's looking through and she's going, some of these burglaries were committed at like late at night and 3 o'clock in the morning. A lot of antiques stolen. What? 2 14-year-old schoolboys. So we told our brief what had happened, and he explained to the magistrate, and she stopped the case. She went, I want this investigated. So we were advised, all the charges on us were dropped, advised to sue the police. And of course, in those days, even today, it takes years. And if you're from a poor family in South London, right, you ain't got 2 bob. You know what I mean? Suing the police, you have to do it on legal aid. And they can, but the coppers got suspended while the investigation was going on. And because of that, the local police dug us out. Right? They used to come out. Every time I come off my estate, they drag me into the police car or a van, back of a van, give me a few slaps round the face, twist me ear, whatever, you know what I mean, poke me in the eye and tell me drop the fucking charges.
Did this give you like a love for the police? Did you?
I hated them. Before this, I used to watch
Z Cars. The police,
yeah,
right.
I used to watch Z Cars and like Dixon and Doc Green. That's what I thought the coppers were. Evening, right. Oh, give you a clip round the ear if you're naughty. They beat the shit out of us, you know. I mean, proper torture. And then made us admit all them charges. And from then on, whenever they used to come round and try, I'd be going out of the estate, I'd be going to school, they'd drag me off the street, give me a few slaps and that. And I hated them. I absolutely hated them. And they kept raiding my mother's house, like 5 a.m, looking for stolen goods. They knew there weren't no stolen
Looking for antiques.
Yeah. Grandfather clocks and shit. So
We know they're in it, Noel.
Yeah.
We know they're in it.
So they, I just had enough of it. And I thought, my dad was always a fighter. He boxed for the Irish Army, the English Army. He was a street fighter down in Clapham Junction in the 50s and 60s. So he weren't a stranger to the police, but he hated the police because he's always getting nicked for fighting. And when I start getting nicked, he don't like it because now I'm bringing the police to the door. Right. He knows I ain't done nothing, but it's kind of a bad thing for him because he's not he hates the police and he can't hold his temper. And when they come, he's threatening to throw him over the balcony and all that, and he's going to end up nicked. So I've decided I'll leave home. 14 years old, ran away, went to another estate. I'm living in a 1966 abandoned Triumph Herald. That was my house, right? So I'm 14, I can do what I like. Suddenly I've got all this freedom. I ain't got no school, nobody's looking at me. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? There was a geezer on that estate who was a biker, and I asked him to teach me how to hotwire a motorbike. So he taught me how to hotwire, and that was my game from then on. I'd go out, nick a bike. This is purely for devilment against the police. I'd steal a bike, and I'd ride around the streets of South London with no crash helmet on, right? 14. See a police car, say at the traffic lights, I pull up alongside them, kick the car, and when they look, I go, and then shoot off, because I knew all the side streets I could get away.
Right.
So they were chasing me for ages, for about 3 months. The summer of 76 was mental. And I ended up stealing a bike out of the back of Clapham Police Station, and it was a copper's own bike. It was his personal bike. Right. And when he got involved, that was it. He was dragging my mates off the street, smashing a granny out of them. You tell him I want my fucking bike back. So one day I was there with 2 of my pals, and he's come over. And he's going, right, which one of you knows Smith? He don't know that I'm standing in front of him. Right? No, I don't know him. And he's got me mate went, what are you looking for? He said, I'll tell you what I'm fucking looking at. And he's dragged him away. He's got him round the neck and he's telling me I want my fucking bike. So I think it was a Suzuki 550 or something. So of course, me being who I am, I went, fuck this. That night, got on the bike, 3 o'clock in the morning, drove up to Streatham Police Station, no crash out. 3 in the morning, launched the brick through the window, sat there revving until they all come running out, and then went, mugs, and off I've got on the bike. So it was his bike. So what I'd done was I run it into the ground, I rode it for about 3 weeks, and then I dumped it in Clapham Common Pond. Right? So I've run it straight into the pond. When they caught me, oh mate, they beat the shit out of me again. But this time I had done something. Right. I was nicked for stealing bikes, theft and TDA. And I ended up in Stamford House in Goldhawk Road. Shepherd's Bush used to be a juvenile remand. And of course, me being who I am, I went, fuck this, I'm escaping from here. So it was a juvenile prison. Yeah. But what they used to have was they had certain proper rats, mate, who were juveniles as well, but they'd say to them, you're a fast runner, we will give you 50p, which was a lot of money in those days, right. You're in a young prison, if you catch any escapers. Anyone tries to go to the fence, you chase them. Right. So there was about 4 of these geezers who were like semi-screws. So the first time I'm in there, I'm looking around and I've talked to my mate Tony on the other side, I'm going to go over that fence. He went, be careful. He said, 2 of them fucking runners are right there. Fuck them. I'm up the fence, they couldn't catch me. And the fence used to go up and then in, so you had to climb out and then over. And there's me running down Goldhawk Road, right down to the tube station. They caught me, I've come back, and they went, right, we're going to put you in a special unit this time, which was within there. So I've gone in a special unit, and I was there one day, I've been in there for about 3 days, and they brought the food round, and I've noticed they've left the door open. Boom, I'm out the door, up the fence and gone. Right, gone again. They catch me again. Police bring me back. And they said, right, we ain't having no more of your nonsense. From now on, when it comes to exercise, association, you have to wear pyjamas. Well, I was the only fucker in pyjamas. You know? I was like the boy in the striped pyjamas and a pair of plimsolls. So that was supposed to stop me escaping off. I ain't worried about this. So one night, I remember there was a film on, Shot in the Dark, Peter Sellers, and all the screws was all watching it, but they wouldn't let, it was a telly one, but you could walk back to the toilet in So I said, I need to go to the toilet. So the screw went, right, I'm watching you. So he's standing there, I've gone in, and I keep looking round. But the film's so funny, he's like getting into the film. I went, in the pyjamas, over the fence, gone. I'm at a bus stop down Gold Oak Road trying to hide because I can hear the sirens. And this geezer, he must have been about 19 with his bird. And he come over and he went, here you go, kid. I went, what's that? He gave me £1. So I said, what's that for? He said, ain't hard to tell, mate. He said, my brother's in Stanford House as well. He said, I recognise the pyjamas. I thought, brilliant. So I got home. They caught me again a week later, brought me back to Stanford House again. And this time they went, if you escape one more time, you're going to Latchmere, which was a severe, kind of more severe prison for juveniles. So I escaped again, and that was it. Ended up in Latchmere House. No, first I went to DC. I forgot. I went to Send DC. And I don't know if you know, the DC is detention centre. It was for juveniles under the age of 17 and over the age of 14. Right. And it was called the short, sharp shock in the 70s. Loads of kids died from it because what they used to do was bring you in and then treat you like absolute shit. They got the screws from all over the system who had bad marks against their record as bullies, and they run it. They'd get you in there. The first thing they do to you is beat you up in a cell when you got sentenced. I'm sitting in a cell.
That was like the welcome party.
Yeah. I'm sitting in a cell, Bellum Juvenile. By this time, I'm a little Ted, and I've got my collar and my leather jacket up, fag hanging out my mouth, quiff, sitting there smoking. I've just been sentenced to 3 months, think I'm Jack the Lad. Door opens, 2 big geezers come in black raincoats. They weren't allowed to wear uniforms, so they used to wear HMP raincoats, but with the HMP bit turned over on their collar. So they've come in, and one of them has gone, and I've looked up at them, got me fag like that. I've been in Stanford House, I don't give a toss. So one of them's gone, what's your name? So I looked up at him and I went, no. And he went, stand up. Stood up, crack. He's hit me straight now. I've gone down on the floor. So he's gone, stand up. I think, what's going on here? I'm right shook. So he went, what's your name? So I said, no. The other one lumped me now from the other side. I've gone down. Now I'm trying to think, what the hell do these geezers want? You know, I'm panicking. Stand up. What's your name? And I finally got it. I went, Smith. And he went, that's it. He said, I don't want to know what your mummy calls you. I want to know what your name is. So I said, Smith. And he went, yeah, Smith. Slap round my face. I've gone flying again. And he went, when you speak to an officer, you say, sir. So I'm there like, what's your name? Smith, sir. So they got us into the van. There's 3 of us, kids. And when we're going down to Send in Woking, the van's going from South London. And these 4 screws are in the back, taking great pleasure in telling us all the shit they're going to do to us when we're going to beat the shit. This was their job, was to terrify juveniles so much and break them that they wouldn't come back to prison. And that's how a lot of people died. A lot of kids died, and they'd done away with it in 1982. So I get out to Send, and sure enough, they shave your head, they strip you naked, you stand there for 2 hours while they come in laughing at you, your arms like bits of knotted string and all that. Has he got a dick there? Is he a girl? And all that. You're standing there, kids, naked, while people come in and out doing all this bollocks. Then they beat the shit out of you. Now, one of the geezers who I never knew him, they picked him up from another court. He was in the van with me, absolutely terrified. We were all terrified. But the screws had this thing in Send where they used to start off every sort of thing with, when I say go. Right, that was the threatening bit, when I say go. And then they tell you what they want you to do. Anyway, this kid who's with me, I don't know who he was, but they've got me and him, and we're down at the bathhouse now, and there's about 3 inches of water in the bath, cold water, and the screw went, when I say go, I want you to run, jump into them baths and scrub your stinking little bodies and get out quick. So he's gone, go. Me, I've gone to the bath. This geezer's took him at his word, run over to the bath, jumped up in the air, come down and broke both his elbows in the bath. So he was lucky. He was shipped out straight away to the hospital. But, you done 6 weeks, 3 days out of a 3-month sentence, and they tortured you mercilessly. Like, they'd wake you up every hour on the hour at night if you talked in the dorm, banging truncheons on dustbin lids. They'd get you out of bed every hour. You had to change kit. It was called kit changes. change into your best dress. So we all had to get into our best dress. Now change into your work clothes, boom, boom. And then as you're taking the clothes off, they've got to be folded as well and put in boxes. And shit. So you can't do it. And they drive you mad. They'd have you out at 5 a.m. in a frosty morning with no shoes and socks on, in pyjama bottoms, with your bed pack on your shoulders, bunny hopping round the parade square.
Wow.
It was mental, mate. You'd go down for a meal.
Sounds like basic training in the army.
It was. Like, I watched Full Metal Jacket about 3 weeks ago, and it's pretty much the same stuff, except we didn't volunteer for it. Well, I suppose we did in a way.
Right.
But put it this way, after about 2 weeks of that, new kids come in, so they're digging out new kids and punching new kids. So they kind of leave you alone. You're a veteran. And then you get together. We all got together, North London, South London, East London. We're all in there from everywhere and start talking about, and the thing we're talking about is getting our revenge on these fuckers.
Right.
And society for putting us here, because we're kids, we ain't got a clue. So we all band together. And what happened was, we used to go down and work in a field every day. It was middle of winter, it was November. And what you done in the field was bean planting. So you had one geezer who would come along, there was a line of prisoners. One would have a stick, he'd stick it into the frosty ground, try and make an hole. Geezer would come along, but you're bent over all the time, bean into that, then a geezer would come over and fill it behind you. And it was back-breaking work. And what we used to get paid was a bag of Murray mints a week. That was our...
Wow.
That was it. There was no smoking in there or anything, bag of Murray mints. So one day, we were having a chat in the dorm, and I'm going, why are we taking this? We could fucking do them screws. Even at that age, right? Because I'd already been battered by the coppers and by screws. So everyone went, yeah, we shouldn't work. I went, right, I'll tell you what we do tomorrow. When we go in there, we ain't working. And they went, well, who's going to tell them? I went, I'll tell them. Don't worry about that. Jack the Biscuit. So we go down there the next day, and there was a big fat farmer screw who used to run it. Big red face. He was about 25 stone. And he went, right, everyone get your boots on, because you had to have Wellington boots. And no one's moved. So he went, well, what's going on here then? So I said, he said, I've stood up. I said, I've got something to tell you. Shit to myself. So he went, what's that? I said, we're not working. And he went, is that right? So I said, yeah. So he's walked over to me and he hit me a clump that sent me about 10 foot into a load of shovels. I'm not joking. I flew through the air into a load of shovels. And I'm like that. And I'm coming round and everyone's pulling their boots on and going out of the field. I ain't having it, mate. I've picked up one of the shovels and chased this screw round the yard. Well, I'm chasing him round the field and he's blowing his whistle. And another screw over in the field hears the whistle and presses the alarm bell. I can't catch him. If I catch him, I'm caving his head in. I'm proper raging. So all the screws come down, jump me, drag me to the block, but realised at this time, even at this age, that I'm fucking unruly, mate. They can't control me. I'm the one who's going to fight back with you people. So what they done was put me in the hospital until I got released, so I couldn't contaminate the other prisoners. So I got out of that fit as fuck. But I'd met a geezer in there from North London, good pal of mine to this day, and his brother could supply firearms, right? He'd hire them out or he'd sell them. So one thing I wanted to do was get into armed robbery. All us kids did. We used to see things like Robin Hood and fucking the great train robbers, John McVicker, all that was going on. So to us, as we're now criminals, what do we aspire to? Right. The best criminality, the one with the money, armed robbery.
As far back as you can remember, you always wanted to be an armed robber.
Exactly. Exactly. So I've got in touch with this geezer when I've got out, and sure enough, his brother sells me 2 guns. He sold me a Stevens 16-gauge single-barrel shotgun from 1916, right? The barrel was bent, and there was no ammo with it. And he also sold me a Luger pistol, Second World War Luger pistol, but it had no magazine. You couldn't fire it. Right. But I didn't want to fire them. What I wanted to do was like rob things with them. So I took them and we went robbing, and that was like where it all started. 2 mates of mine, our first robbery, we got a tenner between us, £3 each. And they're all going, this ain't worth it. But me, I love the buzz of it. Right. The actual being in control for the first time. To me, that was it. That's what I wanted.
So the first robbery you did, Noel, what was that? Was that a bank or was?
No, it was a record shop in Streatham, right? And it was a disaster. It really was. We had seen all films and stuff about heists, so that's where we got our info from.
Right.
So we turn up at this record shop. We think there's bound to be a right few quid in there on a Saturday. So it's on a side street. We've got a Nick Cortina My mate George the Gypsy is, and Nick Coultine as the driver. He's got a stocking mask on. Right, it's the middle of summer. He's got a stocking mask on and a big coat, and he's sitting in the car with the engine running outside. Me and my other pal Peter, who's dead now, we planned it all. We got wire snippers to cut the phone. We got handcuffs to handcuff the geezers up. We've got guns. We've got bags to take the money away in. So we've gone in and we're mooching about, and eventually we get a chance. We get up the counter, and there was a record player underneath the counter. This is why I picked this place. So when you give him a record, he had to go under the counter. So I've pulled out, I'll never forget the record, 20 Heartbreakers. Brought out the counter, went here. Can I hear that? So he put it in. When he's gone down, me and my mate, Tom, I've got the Luger. I've pulled the Luger out, but the sight has caught in the inside of my jacket and ripped my jacket, and there's a bit of red lining hanging off the end of the Luger. And when he comes up, I'm like that. And he looked at it like it was one of them joke guns with a bang hanging off the end of it, right? And all I could think to say was, stand and deliver. And he started laughing. I went, get your fucking hands up. So suddenly he's realised he's put his hands up. Went, get the money out of the till. So he's opened the till and he's put a tenner on the counter. And the rest of it. I took the money to the bank at 3:00. He said, that's all there is. I went, fucking hell. But I'm delighted. So I start giving him some bullshit. He ain't even got a phone. We can't cut the phone. Right. So I start giving him some bullshit as a kid, like going, see that roof over there? We got a sniper on that roof. If you leave this place within the next 15 minutes, he's going to shoot you straight in the head. A sniper. Right. So anyway, off we go. And that was our first robbery.
You just stood there like that?
Yeah. That was our first robbery. I grabbed an armful of LPs on the way out as well, and it was all the basic Rollers' greatest hits. I ended up giving them all my sister's mates.
Right.
But, that was the first robbery. They went, that's a bit rough, £3.30. And I went, I love it. I can't get more of this. And I just went into it with a passion and done it all my life. Yeah.
And when from there, did you then sort of think, we're doing another one, but we need to plan it a little bit better?
Yeah. The next one we done was a shop down in Balham. It was a sweet shop. And we went in there early in the morning. We didn't get a lot of money, but we nicked all the snout. So
you had loads of blackjacks and fruit salads.
Funny enough, I did grab a Mars bar on the way out. But, after that, we done a shop, and then we decided to do the rent offices. That's where the money was. We got a proper shotgun, a double barrel with ammunition in it. And they're going to me, why do you want ammunition? Like the other geezers I'm working with. And I went, because don't forget, we're all amateurs. And I went, it makes a loud sound when you shoot in the ceiling. I've seen people do that before, shoot a gun in the ceiling. So we've planned this rent office. So I said, right, I'll have the shotgun, and what I'll do is I'll blow the ceiling out when we go in just to let them know it, and you lot jump over the counter and open the safe, do the safe. So they've gone, all right. So we've gone into the rent office, and I'm standing at the door. I went, right. And I'm pulling the trigger and nothing's happening. So I'm thinking, fuck, I'm panicking now, but they've jumped over the counter already, so I've just put the shotgun down by my side and jumped over with them. We got away with a nice few quid. But later on, we've gone down a chip shop in the Ketway cart to get some spare ribs down in Balham, my favourite chip shop. So we're outside there. We're in this little, I think it was a Morris 1100. Yeah, Morris 1100. So I've still got the bag with the gun in it down at my feet. I'm in the back seat. So my mate's gone, why didn't you fire off the gun when we went in there? So I said, it don't work. So I've pulled it out. I've been eating ribs, so I've got all greasy fingers. I've pulled the gun out. I said, it don't fucking work. Look. And I'm holding it up like that. And my other mate went, click. He went, didn't you take off the safety? And then with that, I've pulled the trigger. It's gone off in the car, mate. It's put a hole through the car. All the highlining is like confetti, right? We're deaf. Like the sonic boom in the car and this shotgun going off. There's blood coming out of my mate's ear hole. And we're like that, and it's blown the roof out, and everything's floating about. And in those days, it was the time of the RA bombers. So they see a car sitting there that suddenly explodes. All the people walking by think it's a bomb.
Right.
We've staggered out of the car, and I've still got the shotgun, and I can't hear nothing. And I turn round, and they're all going, screaming and running away, everyone. So we've had to dump the car. We've ended up getting away. But I was very careful with guns after that.
Right.
Yeah.
You now know what the safety catch is.
Yeah, yeah.
And what happened after that? Did you just gradually just keep up in the game every time?
No, what happened was when I was 15 then, it's about a year after I started.
So you become an armed robber at 14?
Yeah.
I love that.
So I'm 15, and coming up to Christmas, I think it was 76. Yeah, 76. And me and my pal Peter, who's dead, ended up getting nicked. Someone put my name up for one of the robberies because they, in the South London press, they had this thing, you know, these men that turn out, like, and descriptions of us. And yeah, we ended up nicked by, but we never got nicked by the flying squad. We got nicked by Streatham Police, which was a result, in a way. So comes to it, it's charging us with 6 robberies, possession of firearms with intent, and grievous bodily harm, because we'd done one of the shops we'd done. The geezer refused to hand over, and we mate him over the head with a bottle of, I think it was lemonade or something, and broke the lemonade bottle on his head. So that was GBH. So we're both up with that. So they charged us with all these things, and I'm 15 and my mate's 16. So we're going to the Old Bailey at that age. Well, everyone else is going to juvenile court. So I'm on remand in Letchmere House, and my brief comes to see me, and he went, look, he said, I could do something here. So I said, what? He said, the prosecution say that if you plead guilty to 1 robbery, 1 attempted robbery, and possession of firearms, they'll drop the rest of the charges. Now, I don't realise at that age that robbery and possession of firearms is enough to get you lumps of bird, mate. I'm thinking it's just like, well, if they're going to drop it, what are they going to give me for that? So I said, what do you think I'll get? He said, you'll go back to DC for another 6 months, and your mate will go to Borstal for another week. I went, fair enough, we'll do that then. We get up the Old Bailey, and the briefs are explaining it all. And then the judge says, no, he said, this is not America. We don't make deals here. We don't make deals with criminals, you know, all that. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? So he said, stand up. And me mate Peter, stand up, mate. So he stands up. He said, yeah. He said, you will go to a young person's prison for 3 years. He said, and off you go. And he's expecting 9 months. He's got 3 years. I'm expecting 6 months. Stand up, Smith. And he would give it a big spiel. I can't remember what he said, but it was a load about your young age and the viciousness of the crimes. And he said, you will also be detained for 3 years. Now, I didn't know what being detained was. I only knew about Borstal and stuff. Turns out it was a Section 53 detention sentence of the children, and I always remember this, it's stuck in my brain, the Children and Young Persons Act 1933, Section 2 of that Act, right? So you got a detention sentence, but you didn't get any remission. You didn't get no remand time off. We'd been on remand in custody for 3 months. I never got that. Peter got it off because he was an adult, classed as an adult. And so I didn't know what the average sentence was 6 months to 9 years, 6 months to 2 years in Borstal. That was the longest sentence. I'm doing 3 years straight.
Wow.
So it turns out, when I read up on this years later, Section 53 could only be given, this is the exact circumstances, could only be given to a juvenile under the age of 18 if that juvenile had committed crimes that warranted 14 years imprisonment or more in an adult. So that's the section they had me under. And there was about, I suppose there was about 9 of us doing those sentences in the whole justice system in those days, right? So they had nowhere to put us. With dangerous young men doing these sentences with no remission, where are they going to put us? So they had this unit in, what was the name? Ashford Prison, Ashford Remand Prison in Middlesex. So they had a unit on the top floor there, was called the Monsters Unit. We didn't know, we're all kids, right? We're all under 16. So I go in there, they send me in there, and there's about 5 kids already in there, and one of them's a right horrible, smarmy, greasy bastard who had strangled an old woman to death. He was 13 or something, 14. And then there was another geezer who'd, 3 geezers who raped a bird in a graveyard. They were all juveniles, and they all got sentenced to 10 and 8 and 12. And I'm thinking, I've got in there and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, it's only a little unit. I'm thinking, don't like these people. Sure enough, next day, my pal, who I'd been on remand with, dead now as well, Jerry Keeble, out of Billericay, he got sentenced for a burglary where he stole 300 quid's worth of meat, frozen meat, right? He's 14, no, he's 15. And because he had so many previous, he had 100 previous, they give him 3 years as well, same sentence as me. I was delighted when he turned up the next day. Not like, you know what I mean? But now I'm there with a pal, so I can ignore the rest of these. Then another mate of ours turns up, who we're on remand with. He gets 7 years. Tony Woodbridge. He was 14. He was on the front page of The Sun. The judge said, I'm giving you 7 years detention. You're going to come out when you're a man. And all the geezers he was nicked with, bearing in mind he was 14, they're all 19 and 20. They all got 6 months. He got 7 years detained. Wow. So now there's 3 of us in there. We all love rock and roll. We're all Teddy boys, right? And now we're against all the other mob. And there was nothing but murders in there, mate. We used to attack them every chance we got. And then you had a geezer called Pat. He got nicked for Pat Maguire. He was innocent, but he got nicked in one of them IRA coups in his bomb factory. He was 14. They nicked him and give him 5 years detained. He done nothing. The kid never done nothing in his life. And like we were all there together in this unit, and eventually they shipped us out because we started causing so much trouble. We got to split these people up and get rid of them. So they sent me to Dover, Borstal, my mate Jerry to Rochester, Borstal. Woodsy went to Aylesbury because he was doing a 7, and really that's just where like everything just come on top, mate. I mean, I went mad. They had me in Dover first, and what happened was, I was always fighting the system and looking for a way to escape. I wasn't really one of them kind of kids wanting to fight other prisoners. I would if we had a beef or whatever, but I wasn't one of them. To me, they weren't my enemy. The system was my enemy. Right. You know what I mean? So I was trying to escape out of Dover. I don't know if you know about Dover. It's got a moat around it.
Oh, is that the cliffs or whatever?
Yeah, Western Heights. It's an empty moat, but it's like about 50 feet down. So you couldn't escape from there unless you went out through the gate. But the first night, I'm thinking, because you're free inside the Borstal, and I didn't realise about the moat. So I'm supposed to go over and get the teas with another geezer, and he's walking along pulling the trolley talking to me, and I've legged it. I'm running around this Borstal looking for a way out, and all I can see is this moat. And I'm thinking, can I climb down it? And in the end, I thought, no, I can't. So that pissed me off. I couldn't escape from the place. And then I started... it was called the Riot Borstal, Dover. Riots about every 3 weeks. We had a riot one night, one day. There was a lot of black and white riots. There was a lot of riots about food. But one time there was a program called Aquaman or something. It was coming on the telly, and we all wanted to watch it, but it was on at 9 o'clock. We were banged up at 9. So what we'd done was barricaded in the telly room to watch this thing, about 40 of us, riot squad up and everything, and all they'd done was turn the electric off from outside, so we were fucked. Right. So we didn't get to see it. So we ended up fighting the screws. I ended up clumping a screw and then launched another one down the stairs with my shoulder as I was legging it away, because we all ran back to our fucking dorms when they raided the thing. And because of that, they took me down the block and they put me in solitary confinement for about 3 days. And in Dover, all the floors down the block, it was underground, they're all stone, like granite. Right. And every morning they used to push a bucket of water, scrubbing brush, carbolic soap, and a cloth, and you were supposed to scrub your cell, you know, a big cell, scrub the floors. First morning they put it, I went, I am not, do you know what? I'm not a Borstal boy. I'm not doing this. This is, in my mind, I'm thinking, right, that's it now. I'm not doing it. I'm not cooperating. I've got no remission to lose. I don't really give a toss. I'm doing 4 times what everyone else here is doing in length. So I'm not having it. So they put the bucket in, and when they come back, about 2 hours later, I'm still laying on my bed. The bucket's there, mattress on the floor. So the screw went, scrub yourself. I went, scrub it yourself. So he went, what? They're not used to being like people giving them lip. So he went, wait there, slammed the door. He's come back, 3 of them, opened the door, kicked the bucket over, went, get up and scrub that floor. I went, fuck you. And I've kicked the bucket over and all the water's gone over the floor. That's it. They don't know what to do. They've gone out, closed the door again. Come back to the door at lunchtime and went, are you going to scrub your cell? I went, no, I'm fucking not. I said, if you put a bucket in here, I'm going to hit one of you with it. Now they can't say no chances. That evening, 5 o'clock, I can hear all footsteps coming. Sure enough, my door opens. There's about 8 of them there with a geezer in a white coat. They come in. I'm fighting them. They've held me down, ejected me in the arse, and I woke up 3 days later in a padded cell in Rochester, Borstal. 30 miles away or something. They'd moved me while I was out. They knocked me spark out. So I wake up in this padded cell and I don't know where I am. I don't realise they got me down to mental observation, right, in this hospital in Rochester. So it just really went bad from there, mate. They had me on these drugs for psychotropic drugs or whatever they was. What was that? The main one was, what was it called? But there was this drug they used to jack you up with that slows you down. Like you didn't know it. You think you're moving all right, but really you're just walking. Like they give my mate Vince Kennedy, who I knew from outside, was there. He was a Rasta when he come in, and they shaved all his locks off. In those days, they could do it. They shaved your heads, and he fought them, so they drugged him up as well. So now he's a bald-headed Rasta. So anyway, me and him were in the hospital, and they let us out for association after about 5 days. So there's this room, and there's a table tennis table, 2 chairs, and a telly, and a screws office. So I come out, I don't know, Largactol. That's what it was called, Largactol. And when you was on it, you used to do what they called a Largactol shuffle, that's how you walked, but really slowly. So we don't realise, me and Vince, that we're out of our nuts. So I've gone, all right, Vince. So he's gone, yeah, when do you want a game of table tennis? I went, yeah. So he went, I'll serve. I went, all right. So he's got the ball, throws the ball up. I'm waiting. The ball's gone down, rolled over the floor, and he's still bringing his back. And then eventually he comes down and goes, fuck, where's the ball? I went, it's over there. He went, I'll get it. He's gone for about 10 minutes getting the ball right. I'm still standing at the table like that. I'm thinking there's something wrong with him. I don't realise it's me as well. I'm the same. So eventually I tried to escape. They let me out of the hospital and they put me on C Wing, which was in Rochester, which had just been built, and it was supposed to be an escape-proof wing for the baddies in the Borstal. They put me on there, and within about 3 months, Christmas Eve, I learned how to escape out my cell in there. Right, seriously. And we had a plan to go on Christmas Eve, which is my birthday. We had civilian clothes stashed that we'd gathered. We were planning this for about 2 months. There was 6 of us. We had like money, right, cash, and a geezer, funny enough, from Barking, a right little skinny, funny fella. He got a set of FS car keys smuggled in on a visit. And they would open anything in them days, in the old FS. So our plan was, we'd done my cell first, so I could open the door at night. And we waited till the screws went off. And the game was, I was going to, about 10 o'clock, I was going to come out my cell, creep down on the night watchman, grab him, tie him up, get his keys, unlock everybody else, and then we was going to head for the wall. We had like fucking scaffold poles stashed down by the wing to use, and we were going to be home by Christmas Day. When it came to it, I've come out myself at about 10:30, and I'm talking to my mate through the door. Yeah, I'm going to go down and do him in a minute. He don't know I'm out the night watchman. He comes up to do his thing. I've hid in the recess, the toilet on the end. He's come back and he's singing. It's Christmas Eve. He's probably had a little drink. So he comes into the fucking toilet where I am. So he's having a piss, singing to himself, and I'm over in the corner by the buckets like that and the mops. So now he's washing his hands and the mirror's there. So he's washing his hands, singing, and he looks up. I see him look up like that, and he went like that. And then he legged it. So I've picked up one of the steel buckets, chased him out, got him, crash, hit him on the head. He's gone down, there's blood everywhere, right? And the blood's proper seeping out of his head. And they're all watching out the spiles, the rest of the prisoners. And I've gone, right, I'll get his keys. They went, don't unlock us, don't want nothing to do with that, mate. You've killed him.
You're on your own, yeah.
What I don't even realise is he's got no keys. He can't open the night watchman ain't got keys, it's the night patrol, right? We didn't know this. So I'm down in the office rooting around the drawers looking for keys about, I don't know, 12:30 at night, and all of a sudden I hear the alarm bell going. So I've come running out of the office and I've looked up and he's standing at the top of the stairs with his finger on the button, blood everywhere, and he's gone, you're fucking dead now. And here comes the night patrol now. Right. And they were used, these kids. They come in and they battered me from one end of the wing to the other while all the other prisoners were in their cells, right? I was screaming like a fucking girl. And then they gone to the night watchman after they've bashed me up. They've grabbed hold of me. One of them was holding me. And he went, give him a few digs. And the night watchman, like, he's weak from loss of blood now, right? He's come over and he's throwing punches. But they're not hurting me at all. But I'm screaming, you know what I mean? Like he's doing me. So they've dragged me out that wing, took me down a block and threw me in a strip cell, and I stayed there all over Christmas. And every day they open that door and come in and beat me up, ones who'd been off duty because I'd done their pal. Now that, believe it or not, despite the fact that I ended up in solitary confinement for 9 months over that was when I was 15. No, it was on my 16th birthday. And because of that, that set my reputation for the rest of my time in prison. I wouldn't have had to do anything else because 20 years later, people were coming up to me in prisons going, "You're the one who done the night watchman in Rochester, and yeah." I'll go, "Yeah, fucking nice one."
Where did the razor come from?
Oh, I had that on the outside. I'd been a teddy boy. And we all carried weapons. We all had nicknames. My mate was Bicycle Chain John. I had a mate called Hatchet Harry. Seriously. So I used to use a razor. My old man went to me. I borrowed his razor. He had a straight razor. Right. So he said, "What do you want that for?" I said, "Like, in case anything happens out there." He said, "You know what?" He said, "That's a good idea." He said, "Don't ever carry a knife." He said, "You stick a knife in someone wrong, mate, they're dead." He said, "With that," he said, "you're not going to, unless you cut their throat, you're not going to kill them." So what we used to do was tape off the end of the razor with masking tape. So there was only a little bit of it sticking out. So if you cut someone, it left a stripe, but it wasn't life-threatening. And I had done that in a fight against a load of soul boys when I was with the old Teds, and they all started calling me Razor Smith, buying me drinks and all that. So it followed me into jail. So that now I'm in jail, another thing happens. They let me up on a wing after me 9 months in solitary. And I come back on a wing, and a geezer gets nicked for having a razor blade in his cell. Don't even know him. And they said, "Where'd you get it?" And he went off Razor Smith because I'm on the same wing as him, and he thinks that'd be a good idea. Blame it on him. So screws come, strip search me cell, everything. "What are you looking for?" "Looking for a razor." I said, "I ain't got one." They said, "You give one to Porter." That was his name. I went, "No, I never." So now I know who's put me in. So the next day, me and my mate Foxy Fowler went up there. Foxy grabbed hold of him and I striped him a couple of times across the face. And then that was that consolidated. He'll fucking stripe you. He's done it before. So I kind of built up my prison reputation from there, you know what I mean? And eventually I'd done every day of that 3 years. And I got out and I was fit for nothing. I'd been through so much violence and so much, because I mean it, juvenile was like, it was like gladiator school. All the top criminals who are top criminals now or 30 years later were all in there. Right. You know, people who probably, you know, most people have never heard of, but are big in the criminal world. There's a lot of people who are major legends in the criminal world that the outside world ain't heard of, mate, seriously. And I became one of them. I left the juvenile with a reputation as a geezer who would fucking slash her and a geezer who ain't afraid to do the screws. And that put me in good stead. Whenever I went into prison, there was always people I knew and people who knew about me. And that's how prison works. If you know someone and they know you, you're sweet. I mean, in Parkhurst years ago, they wouldn't have nurses. So what they used to do was, if no one would vouch for you, if you come in new, if no one vouched for you or knew you, they'd come down to your cell, a committee of bods, and go, "Right, you've got 2 weeks to get paperwork in, show them what you're in for. Otherwise, fuck off or you'll get in it." Because they would kill you in Parkhurst. You know what I mean? So that stood me in good stead over the years. And I just became, it was like a merry-go-round with me. I'd go in, do a big lump of bird, cause madness and ructions in the prison system because I could never settle. It wasn't my life. Right. I always wanted to be free. And then I'd get out, and I'd be out for a few months, and then I'd get back into crime, robbery again, have loads of money, live the high life for a year, then get nicked again, and then spend like another 11 years in jail. You know, it was craziness. And it wasn't until 2002, I got, in 98, I was arrested for a series of robberies called the Laughing Bank robberies. And the reason they called them that is me and me 3 pals, we'd all done robberies, we'd all done bird, we'd known each other for years, we all trusted each other 100%. So we used to have a laugh when we was going to work. It sounds silly now, but stuff like, how we got the Laughing Bank robber's name. Christmas Eve is my birthday, as I've just mentioned. Right. I tried to escape on Christmas Eve and ended up in a block solitary. But then years later, 97, 98, I was, we was doing robberies about once a month or something. So it come to December, and my mate went, "Who are we doing for the Christmas money?" So I said, "I'll tell you what, we did the Midland in Clapham." I said, "The last time that was robbed, that was Charlie Wilson, the great train robber, robbed it in 1958 or something. You know what I mean? And got nicked for it." So I said, "We'd do that." Pulled up on Christmas Eve. The banks was open till 12, I think, on Christmas Eve then. and there's a geezer outside selling centre hats for £1 a time. So me, like, I went, yeah, gives 3 of them, mate. So I said, put your ski mask on and put the Santa hat on. So we've gone in with the Santa hats Christmas Eve to rob the bank, yo-ho-ho in and all that shit, yeah. Put an axe through the screen, got over the counter, nicked a bit of dough, went out with the bulging sacks, and we just thought it was really funny. We was laughing about it. So then the next one, we thought, oh, this is great. Let's carry on this fucking thing because we enjoyed doing it. So the next one we done, we picked out specifically the Midland Bank at Hendon Central because the police training college is just about 200 yards from it, right? And we thought it'd be funny to do it right on their doorstep. Sure enough, we've got in there, we've done that one, we've got away, and we got away in a white BMW, which we dumped down at one of the shopping centres. It turns out we're not getting nicked later for this. They nicked 4 different geezers for that bank who were innocent as fuck. One of them had PTSD from battle fatigue.
Fuck.
He'd been in Afghanistan, and his 3 mates had gone to pick him up from London Airport when he come back, and they were coming down Colin Deep Lane in a white BMW. And the police stopped them because all they knew was a white BMW with 4 men in it. We were already gone. And I read all the statements afterwards, and it turned out they denied it. And when they stopped the car, they got the bank manager, right, into a police car, rode him down Colin Deep Lane where they stood them by the side and said, do you recognise any of them men? And he said, the big one looks like the one who had the leather coat on when he come through the door. So they've nicked them, put them in the cell overnight for armed robbery. One of them didn't have his medication and went loopy. Right, in a police cell. I really felt sorry for him afterwards. And eventually they let them go when the pictures have come through and they realised they're not even the same people. They're not wearing the same clothes or anything. Right. So they got out and they sued the police for a lot of money and got a lot of money out of it as well, yeah. But yeah, we were always doing things like funny things, you know what I mean, just for the laugh of it to relieve the boredom of robbing.
Where did the city thing come from?
Oh, the city gent. I was on a run. I went on a run in 1992, I was in the Verne prison down in Dorset, and I had plans to escape out there. Me and my best pal. We was both, funny enough, I'll tell you a funny story. I ain't told no one this ever. Me and my pal, and he's still alive. He lives in Birmingham now. We were in there together. He's doing a 12 for armed robbery. I was doing a 19 at that time. So we managed to inveigle our way into a CCAT after about 5 years, right, which was quite hard to do. So we've managed to get into this CCAT, the Verne, and we had a plan to escape. So one night, because we know we're not getting out soon, but we're in a CCAT, one night we get out of our cell, there's a pair of us, right, and we've got knives, we've got a rope made out of a bed sheet, a load of bed sheets, and we've also got a grappling hook, which we made out of a prison chair with an hacksaw, sawed the thing so it was like a proper hook. So we've crept out in the middle of the night at 2 a.m, and in the Verne, before you can get to the wall, there's a huge big field all around the place, so you've got to go across open land. And there's spotlights, and about every 300 yards, there's a sentry box and there's a screw in there, night watchman screw watching. So they watch the wall at night. Underneath is a military base and a causeway. So when you get over the wall, you've got to get across the causeway as well and away from the military. But we've decided we'll have a go. Get out, crawling through the grass, and it's been pissing down rain. We're dragging this rope with us made out of the sheets. And what we don't realise is it's getting weaker as it's getting wet. So we get out, and there's a screw in the box, and my mate went to me, what are we going to do about him? I said, he's got to go out. He went, what, you mean go? I went, yeah, he's got to go. I wasn't serious. I was just like winding him up. He went, well, fucking kill him. I went, well, we got the tools, haven't we? And he went, no, let's find another way. So I went, all right. So we've got, I was just winding him up. So we've crept through the grass and we managed to get to a place where they can't see, and the wind's blowing. It was fucking right windy night. And we've thrown the grappling hook, and the first time it's fell down, but it's nearly reaching. It's thrown it again, ain't got it. And Alan's standing there and he's looking around waiting for the screws, and he's going, fucking hurry up. I'm throwing the grappling hook, caught, went lovely. So I had been about 17 stone, but I'd slimmed down to about 15 stone. I'd been right in the gym, like to lose weight for this. So Alan goes up it first. He's a skinny geezer. Up he goes. He's sitting on top of the wall now. Come on. So I've grabbed the rope, gone to go up, and it snapped halfway up, and there's a little bit of it hanging down because it was wet and everything, you know what I mean? So he's up on the top of the wall. So he's gone, jump, I'll grab your hand. I said, I can't fucking jump up there. It's the middle of the night. So he's gone, I went, listen, you fuck off. I'll piss off back to the cell. Make sure I get a few visits when you're out. Send up someone to visit me and a few parcels. But I'll be all right. I said, enjoy yourself. Do you know what he done? He went, nah. He jumped back into the prison. He said, if you ain't going, I ain't going. And I thought, what a fucking mate. And he's helped me back to get back. We all got back, and they never knew. They knew something had happened. There was a window broken, and there was like fucking...
Half a rope.
Yeah, stuck on the wall. So they knew, but they didn't know it was us, which was the main thing. And about a week later, the probation officer come to see me and went, your mum's very ill. Would you like to go and visit her on a home visit? He don't know. I've been hanging up on the wall the last 2 weeks. Right. So I've gone, yeah, all right. Thinking delighted. So I said to Alan, when I get out, I said, what I'm going to do is, I said, I'm going to try and escape here. I said, if I do, I said, I'll take care of you. I said, I'll come back and break you out. He went, all right. So off I go, handcuffed to 2 screws from Dorset, down to Brixton, Stockwell Park Estate, where my mum and dad lived, right, which was a minging estate. All walkways, like kids round playing the Brixton briefcases in those days, everyone smoking joints. So these 2 screws are in Screws uniforms. But when we pull in, the cab driver from Dorset, he's looking around, he went, listen, I'm not parking up here. He said, I've got a mate who lives a bit further down. He said, phone me when you need me. He said, I'll have my wheels nicked in here. And kids are throwing bricks down off the walkways on the car, right? So now they've got to walk up the stairs with me, handcuffed. And there's about 20 geezers, all young geezers, black geezers and white geezers and whoever lives on that estate, all hanging about on a walkway. They see them coming and they think they're police. And they hate the fucking police down there. So they've all come out and went, what's going on here then? What you doing with our man there? They don't even know me. So these 2 screws, Dorset screws, are getting a bit worried now. No, we're not police officers. We've got... So one of the geezers says... he said, which house, which flat you going to? I went, that one over there, 109. He went, oh, you're Irish's son. That's what they used to call me, old man there, Irish. You're Irish's son. I went, yeah. They went, do you want us to batter these 2 geezers? So I went, no, it's all right. Get up to the door, knock on the door. My old man opens the door and he went, yeah, he's not coming in until you take the handcuffs off him. So they're like, we've been told we're not allowed to take the handcuffs. Well, fuck off back to the prison then. Closes the door. Now their car's gone. Right? He's already gone. Right. So they've gone, fuck it. So I can hear them arguing with each other. Well, we got to do it. So they've knocked on the door again and went, all right, we take the handcuffs off once he's inside. So we go in. The old man had a staff called Rocky, who was a right big up, but he was harmless as fuck, and the screws were shitting themselves. My brother's come down, a few people come down. They're in the kitchen. My mum's made them a cup of tea and some sandwiches. They're in there reading the paper. I'm in the front room with all my family. We're having a laugh. I'm there for about 3 hours. Turns out my mum wasn't as sick as everyone thought. She'd come out of the hospital. So I've gone to my brother, listen. I said, I'm off down the balcony. I said, there's a way down there. Climb down there. He went, yeah. He said, it's easy. So he went, yeah, give me 50 quid, which he had in his pocket. He said, you need that. He said, get down to Battersea and see our brother-in-law. I went, all right. Climbed down, ran across the estate, went up a side street, and there was a pub called the Marcus Saloon. So I've gone into this pub, my first pint in like 6 years, gone up, I've got a £50 note. Yes, a pint, mate. What? Anything. Then I've run into the toilet because I know they're going to be looking for me. I've gone into the toilet with the change, right, of a £50 note. And what have I started doing? Rolling it up, wrapping toilet paper around it and sticking it up my arse like I'm in prison. You're hiding the money, you know what I mean? You're hiding a parcel. So I'm at the door, I've got my pint, and I've got the geezer, can you phone me a cab? He went, yeah. And with that, a police van slowly gone by outside. Then 5 minutes later, 2 coppers on horses have gone past. They're all over the place. They saturate the streets. My brother said he went into the kitchen after I'd been gone for 10 minutes, and the screws went, can you tell your brother we're going to be taking him back to the prison soon? And he went, you can tell him yourself. He's gone back to the prison already. He's made his own way back. The screws went, what? I said, yeah, he's gone. They come in the front room, me, I won't get out of my house. So that was it. They were stuck in Brixton, no car, me gone. So they got in touch with the police, Brixton police station. So eventually a cab pulls up outside, and I've managed to dodge out of the pub, jump into the cab. So I'm ducked down on the back seat because there's so many police about. So I've gone to the geezer, take me down to Price's Candle Factory, mate, down in Battersea, because my mate lived in the estate there. So he said, all right. He said, what's wrong with you? I said, listen, to be honest with you, I said, I'm wanted by the police and there's a lot of them about. He went, yeah. And he's driving in, went, yeah, keep down. He said, there's a van over the thing. So he was all right. So halfway down, he says, what did you do? Have you ever been in Brixton prison? So I said, yeah. He said, my cousin's in Brixton prison at the moment. You might know him. So I said, well, I'm thinking. So I said, oh, yeah, I might do. What's his name? And he went, oh, Sam, so-and-so, so-and-so. I went, yeah, he's a good geezer. I didn't know him at all. I want to keep this geezer sweet. So we pull up at the candle factory and then I've realised I've got the money in my arse. So he's gone, that'll be 18 quid or something. So I've gone, yeah, hang about, mate. I'm trying to get this fucking parcel of money out. And he went, where's that? Up your arse? I went, yeah. He went, all right. He said, it's free. He said, if you see my cousin, tell him what I've done. I went, yeah, I will do it. And that was it. I was out for 3 months. Oh. So now I've got to earn some money. Right? I'm on the run. So I've decided I've got some of my old clothes back. And the only thing that fits me is a suit that I bought before I went away, a Hugo Boss suit. And I've got a nice white shirt, tie, nice pair of loafers, and a briefcase and a fucking bowler hat. And I've gone to this driver. I said, right, drop me off at the Nat West in Balham. I said, wait outside. I said, it'll be 5 minutes. So he's got all right. So I've walked in, sunglasses on and everything. There's about 20 people in there. Walked up to the counter, briefcase on the counter, opened the counter. The geezer, well, what can I do for you? Took out a shotgun, snapped it up. I went, you can give me all the money. So you've gone, fucking hell. So all the people are in there. I've got everyone down at the end of the wall. So they're all down at the end of the wall and they're waiting for this geezer to put the money up. He's putting bundles of money up into my bag. So I'm looking at these people. I'm just standing there dressed up in a suit and that. I'm looking at these people. I'm going, you right? And they're like shitting themselves. So the geezer's got a nice watch on. So I said to him, here, mate. I said, is that a real Rolex? He went, yeah. I went, nice. And he started taking it off. I went, what are you doing? He said, you can have. I went, no, I don't fucking want your watch, mate. I'm robbing the bank. I just said it's a nice watch. So that was like, okay. Got the money out of that one. I think I took away $8,000 or something. And that was me then. I was doing them all in the suit while I was on the run. And the papers started calling me the city gent robber.
I love that.
Yeah. Briefcase and a gun in a briefcase. But I've done so many different sets of robberies over the years, like, because I'm always in and out, you know.
What would you say was your biggest robbery?
Well, we was doing, when you got to figure it like this, Terry, when you're doing banks, you ain't getting a lot of money, you know what I mean, unless you're doing the vault, and most people do the tills. So we would look for big banks with, say, 5 or 6 tills open, because you're almost guaranteed to get $2,000 to $3,000 out of each till, if you're lucky, if you get there early. So it wasn't massive money, but it was good money for what we was doing.
And how often was you doing them? Weekly or monthly?
Sometimes 2 a week. I've done 3 in one day.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true. And then what we found, when I was with the Laughing Bank Robbers, we found a bit of a security flaw with the Allied Irish Bank and the Midland.
Yeah, when you said the Laughing Bank Robbers.
Yeah.
Are they like the Laughing Policemen? Were they like...
No, that was us with the Santa hats on and all that.
So that's what you called them, because you had the Santa hats on.
Yeah, that's what the paper said, Laughing Bank Robbers, because we was laughing going out the bank with the Santa hats on, going ho, 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 and all that. The original Laughing Bank Robber was a geezer called Mickey Cornwall. He got shot in the 70s, I think it was. He was known as the Laughing Bank Robber as well.
Right.
But, so we're doing these robberies, and we met someone whose cousin worked in the Midland Bank.
Right.
So, of course, as you do, we're having a drink around their house, we're having a barbecue, and I start talking to the cousin, and I said, well, like, what's, because he don't know what we're up to, he ain't got a clue. So I said, what's the story with the Midland Bank then? Did they got spelled, but they got loads of security? He went, yeah. He said, but the thing is, he said, they've got this thing where when the money comes in, instead of putting it straight into the vault, which is on a time lock, he said they hold it in a safe underneath the counter, the head cashier's safe, until the time lock goes. I said, what, every time they get money delivery? He went, yeah. So, of course, we thought, lovely. Planned it, went into one in Croydon, and sure enough, just after the van had delivered, got in. So I got everyone on the floor. There's 3 of us in there and the driver outside. And I said, who's the head cashier? I've shouted over the counter. A little Asian geezer went, it's me. I went, come here. So he's come up to the counter and he went, yeah. I said, get into your safe and take out the money that's just been delivered. So he's looking at me like that. What? I said, you heard me, mate. I said, get into the safe or I'm going to fire this shotgun through this and everyone's going to get it. So he's gone, all right. So he's gone under. And my mate, who's the bag man who takes the money, he's got a carrier bag ready to take the money. It ain't big enough to carry the money this geezer's putting out, right? He stacked it. Right? So what we were getting them, we were doing them all the time. And what it was called was the reserve game. So that was their reserve for the week or the month. And if you robbed it straight after the van had been in, you could get it out the safe because the safe was only on a key if you threatened them. And with them, we were getting between 40 and 70,000 a time. And we done a lot of them, you know, we would go in. And the other one was Thomas Cook's as well, travel agents. I mean, you'd be getting like sometimes up to 40 grand out of a Thomas Cook's in foreign currency and everything, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Ray used to do...
Did you used to say to him, don't just book it, Thomas Cook it?
I wish I did. No, I used to say, don't press any buttons, put it in a clean bag.
So just out of interest, right, when you put these things together, how many people was in the team? Was it like 3 or 4?
4 maximum.
Okay.
Otherwise it ain't worth it.
And there was one who had the gun?
Yeah, that's me. The frightener, they call that.
The frightener.
Yeah. It's your job to terrify them into complying. Then you've got the bag man. He's the geezer who'll scoop the money into the bags when they put it on the counter.
Right.
Then you've got the doorman. And the doorman is the geezer you see with the axe who'll have a fearsome weapon. So if anyone comes into the bank while it's going on, they're not getting out and nobody can get out, he won't let them out, right, until it's all done. And then you've got a driver outside. And we used to use, in 97, we used hands-free mobile phones because we had the original fucking brick phones, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Motorola.
That went with the city look, didn't it? You
Yeah.
like a proper yuppie.
Yeah.
Yuppie bank robbers.
Yeah. So he'd be outside listening to everything on hands-free, the driver, so he'd know exactly when we was coming out. We'd have the phones on in the bank.
And what, did you always work with the same team? It was literally like just a small
Most
circle.
of the time, yeah. I mean, the thing about robbing in London, and probably the same in other major cities, is you get certain people who you meet in prison who you know are good workers or they're good at certain jobs. So you always keep them, like, it's like A to Z of crime. I think Dave Courtney used to call himself A to Z. But, yeah, it's kind of like if you need an alarms man, if you need someone to supply your guns, you need cars, these are the people to go to. So, and working with a gang that you know is kind of, it's the best thing because you're not worried that someone's going to turn over if they get nicked. You know they ain't going to turn over. They've done loads of bird before and never said a fucking word. So, yeah, I mean, my pals, they got nicked doing, I was in Ireland, and they got nicked doing a Halford superstore. They disguised themselves as coppers. This is the laughing bank robbers. Disguised themselves as coppers, plainclothes coppers, and went up there early in the morning when it first opened the Halford superstore and had a plastic bag with all receipts in, knocked on the glass, and when the geezer, I'm Detective Sergeant so-and-so, he won't open the door, obviously, flash a bit of ID at him, and then go, yeah, see these bags? We're working on a case where a geezer's been defrauding Halfords with a credit card, and some of these have got codes on them. We don't know what branches they are. Would you be able to tell? And the geezer went, yeah, and let them in. So now they're in, they handcuff them, take the security bag out of the safe, but it turns out one of them was an ex-Marine who just got out of the Marines and was a right tasty fighter. And when my pal put the first handcuff on, he went like that and hit the geezer in the head, my pal, and he dropped the gun. So the gun's gone under a desk and they're all scrabbling for the gun in this little office now. And one of them's got an handcuff on, but he was a proper tear-up merchant. I've seen the video of it when I went up to their trial. So they're fighting these two geezers in the thing, and then my pal gets out. The other pal runs out through the doors, and he's out into the car park where the car is. And the other pal, Al, he's on the floor, and this geezer's bouncing toolboxes, Halford's toolboxes off his head. Then Tony comes running back in again to drag him out, and they end up both nicked and ended up with life sentences.
Wow.
But yeah, that was when I was away. Otherwise, I'd have been with them.
Wow.
So.
And you know, with the law enforcement stuff, obviously now, would you say it's impossible to do what you were doing now because of the way things are with CCTV, the alarms, the
Bank robbery's dead now.
Yeah.
We were the last of them, you know. I mean, the reserve game was the last of the bank robbers. And it just, nowadays, what you got to take into account, nobody uses cash.
Right.
Cash ain't king no more. Everybody, supermarkets, debit cards, you know, all this cash card stuff. you could probably rob a bank now and probably walk out with about 600 quid. You know, it's not worth it. It really ain't worth the candle. And they got so much. There's a kind of revolution, an evolution of armed robbery and police. And the evolution is this. Back in the 50s, armed robbers would do wages snatches, right? So what they'd do is a geezer would collect the wages for his factory. He'd have a minder with him. He'd have it in a case. He'd walk down to the bank, walk back to the factory. The armed robbers would pull up in a motor, jump out, cosh him on the head with a lump of lead, steal the wages. So when the security firm started doing it, they went, cosh us on the head, will they? We'll wear crash helmets. So they wore crash helmets. So then what the robbers used to do was...
Shoot him in the leg.
No, no, not that bad. They had to find a way to get round it. So what they used to do was squirt ammonia in their eyes. Crash helmet ain't stopping that.
Right.
Then they put visors on the crash helmets, right, to stop that happening. So then people used to spray black paint on the visor. So he's staggering around, cosh, bomb, nick the fucking box. So then they, when they got DNA, one of my mates actually got nicked for DNA on a guard's visor, where he shouted into his face, get the fucking box down, and the saliva at his visor, and he ended up getting fucking nicked for it.
Wow.
So then you had to be really careful. So you had to wear like a fucking mask that wouldn't allow your saliva out, block your mouth up, but allow you to speak. But it's the evolution of it. The post office, they had this thing at one time where if they was taking a box with more than 50 grand over the pavement from the post office to the post office van, and the guard let go of the handle, it would pop out and you'd get like 18-foot telescopic legs pop out. That you couldn't get the box into a car then, you know what I mean? Because you've got these big galvanised legs coming out all over the place. And
it's not a fucking James Bond movie.
yeah, they tried everything, believe me.
Because there's also, is there some sort of dye or something that sprays?
Now they've got glue, which just makes the money a big fucking like solid lump. Nothing you can do with it. But the legs, things on the post office vans, I remember I went on one and I said, what are we robbing? They come round to me house, a couple of my mates, and said, we've got a job on. So I said, well, what are we robbing? He went, a post office van. So I said, but what about the fucking telescopic legs on the boxes? He went, yeah, give me an axe, little hand axe. He said, when they come out, you chop them off. And that's what we did. Held them out outside the post office, had our van right there. When the gods dropped the box and the legs shot out, we're just there with the axes, chopping in the middle of the street. Chopping them off. Yeah, a few whacks and they're off. And you throw it
wouldn't have been called the City Gent, you'd have been called the Mad Axe Man.
Yeah. The butcher of Bermondsey. But, yeah, I mean, there was so much stuff that they'd done that didn't really work. Like they had this thing where, I don't know if you've seen it, you walk into a bank to rob it and the screens would shoot up.
Yeah.
And the door would lock. But what happened was, a little robber from East London has gone in to rob a bank like that and he's leaning over the counter. They done the screens, it shot up and nearly killed him. It dragged him up to the thing and he sued the bank, so they can't use them no more. Right? But then they had the dye packs, exploding dye packs. Fucking pain in the arse. I've done one up in, because I used to do a lot of robberies on my own as well. You know, whether I've needed a few quid or fancy it, because I love doing it. I really did. I've done a TSB up in Streatham High Road on my own. And I've gone in, and I wasn't really prepared for it. It was spur of the moment type of thing. So I've got a little 2-2, I think it was. So I'm telling them, put all the money in the bags, and I'm going down all the counters, put the money in the bags. So as they're putting them in, one of the women has held up a big bundle of notes like that. She went, this as well. I went, yeah. Throw it in I don't know, it's a dye pack. So it's gone in a bag. So I've grabbed the bag off the counter, put the bag inside my coat, done my coat up, put the gun into my pocket, legged it out of the bank, the TSB, crossed the main road, Streatham main road. I had my car parked down the side road. And what I didn't realise was they're activated by how far away you get from the bank. So when you're about, say, 30 foot out of the bank, it activates. And I don't know I've got one on me. So all of a sudden I start feeling warm. So I'm thinking, what the, but I think it's just adrenaline. Fucking hot, hang about. And suddenly red smoke starts coming out my jacket all up in the air. I opened my jacket and I threw the bag on the floor and the smoke coming out everywhere. It's on fire, the money's on fire. And I'm right outside a barber shop and there's 3 geezers sitting in the barber shop looking like that and I'm trying to stamp the money out. So I've grabbed up a load of the cash and legged it because I'm hear the sirens. Round the corner, into my car, took my jacket off, took my mask off, jumped into the car, Started the car up. I thought, right, nice and calm, just drive. No one knows you're in this car. Drive slowly out to the high road and past the bank. I'm coming up to the turning for the bank to the high road, and 2 women were walking across the road, and they were looking at me in the car and laughing. I'm thinking, what the fuck? So I've looked in the rearview mirror. Half my face is red with dye. Right? Half my body was red with dye.
Right.
So I've managed to get away. So I phoned up a pal of mine who'd been done with dye packs before, East London fella. So I said, listen, I've got a load of money here. I said, it's been covered in dye. He said, easy. He said, what you do is fill up a bath with cold water. He said, put a bit of bleach in the bath, not too much, bit of washing powder. He said, throw the money in there. He said, within about 2 hours, the notes will have sunk to the bottom. He said, and the dye's on the top. He said, just scoop them out and iron them. I went, sweet. He said, there'll still be a bit of dye and burned edges, but they won't be covered.
So these are some tips. You can get the dye off.
I'd done that, and sure enough, it worked. But the trouble was, the dye on my face wasn't as easy to get off. I had to scrub it with a nail brush for about 3 weeks with white spirit to try. And I ended up with a right red face and a dodgy eye over it. But yeah, it was just, it exploded. I had a pal of mine, one of them exploded in his lap when he was driving down East London. He's in a car and it's burning, and he's like that. He managed to throw it out the window. But yeah, they're the sort of things they come out with to try and stop you. But it's, you know, whatever they come out of, you'll find a way around it. The only thing you can't find a way around now is the fact there's no cash.
Right.
There ain't no cash.
I suppose if you did have 70 or 80 grand now, it'd be hard to spend it, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what we used to do with the dyed notes as well, because they're dyed on the edges, just go in train stations and buy tickets, put them in the machines for change in the arcades and all that, and change up your money. They end up with the dyed notes, and you end up with the clean stuff.
Right.
Money laundering, literally. Yeah.
So you get all your money laundering tips here on the Criminal Connection podcast.
Yeah.
So you've explained how it works, the team, and with the stuff. Did you sometimes put disguises on, or was it just a mask?
It would depend on what we was doing, really. I mean, the Laughing Bank Robbers ones, they were all ski masked stuff. But I have done stuff in the past, as I say, the City Gent Robbers, they were a different firm as well. But
I didn't know if you dressed up as a woman, or, you know, sometimes they wore the prosthetic masks and things like that.
I've done the most I've done with that sort of thing is I used to wear a wig when I started out doing robberies. I used to wear a right mad curly wig, like a blonde wig, like Harpo Marx.
Right.
And great big giant glasses.
Right.
You know what I mean? And stuff like that. So you'd be like that, like so nobody would recognise you. And sure enough, nobody really did.
Did anybody ever recognise you? Because I know one guy went and robbed a bank, and obviously because he lived locally, when he went in and said, put the money in the thing, she was like, is that you, John? It's just like, no, it's not me.
I've heard of it happening, yeah. No, the only time I was ever really recognised was, as I say, by that bank geezer who said I'd robbed his bank.
Right.
But
he still give you the account.
Yeah. Oh, this was the worst thing, I think, about being recognised was I'd done, I was on Police 5. Do you remember Police 5, Shaw Taylor?
Yeah.
So I've come home one night and I'm in the kitchen with my missus and my 2 boys are watching telly, and Police 5 used to be on about 5:45 or something. So I'm in the kitchen and suddenly my son comes running in. He's about 6. He said, Dad, you on telly? What? I've gone in and it's Police 5 and they got a video of me robbing a building society in Streatham. And what happened was I remembered it because I had a hood. And as I went to go in the bank and I was using a Navy Colt, which is a fucking huge gun. And I'm pulling the Colt out and I'm trying to throw the hood up and get through the door at the same time. And the hood's just dropped back down again, but I'm already in. So once I'm in, I'm trying to pull the hood up before I'm robbing them, but they've caught me on CCTV. So they show that. So I went, fuck this, I've got to go. So jumped on a train. I was going to Ireland, ended up on a slow train to Holyhead and ended up getting off at Rhyl. And I thought, I'll stay in Rhyl for a few weeks. So I stayed down there for about 6 weeks. Great little gun shop down there there was. I bought shoulder holster out there. But yeah, I was down there for about 6 weeks and I kept phoning up every night. Anything happened? No. And it turned out the reason why no one had seen me was because Neighbours was on at the same time. And it was a big programme at that time. Everyone was watching Neighbours. So
you become Big Neighbours fan after that, did you?
not really, no. But I did get to know an Australian geezer in jail, and he was quite happy to hear that story because he loved Neighbours.
Yeah.
But I come back eventually, and they did get me for that one, like a couple of years later.
You say to your kids, don't fucking say anything at school to your mates, don't.
Yeah. Well, South London those days, my kid come home with a Glock one time from school, and I'm talking about infant school, like 10 years old.
Wow.
And I went, he was playing with it. Where the fuck did you get that? He said, I swapped it in school. I went, for what? He said, me Game Boy. I went, I've looked at it. I'm thinking it's a replica. It ain't. It's a proper fucking gun. I said, where does this kid get this from? He said, I don't know. I think he nicked it from his dad. And I'm thinking, oh, Jesus Christ. So I took it off him and ended up using it on about 6 robberies and then sold it. The old man never come back with it, whether he ever noticed it was missing or not.
Wow.
But yeah, that's some strange ones.
When did you sort of kind of get to the end of your sort of bank robbing career? Did you get to a point where you just thought, been in jail so many times now, I've had enough, it's too complicated now? What was the deciding factor to sort of come out of it?
What happened was 1998, 97 to 98, it was the laughing bank robbers. We were at it, solid, nicking great amounts of money. I had a penthouse up in Croydon. We had the best of motors, everything, suits made every time we had a robbery. It was all that turned out. And I was loving the high life. And then I got nicked. I was the only one nicked for the laughing bank robbers. They couldn't get nobody else. We were all masked up. And the only reason they got me is because I wore a jacket. As I said, when I was away, 3 of them laughing bank robbers went and done a Halford Superstore. So they're nicked. So when I come back, I go to their trial in Croydon Crown Court to see how they're getting on. And I've got a jacket on, LA Raiders jacket, which I used to wear all the time. And I forgot I'd used it on a single robbery that I'd done on my own. So all the flying squad in the court were all looking at me, and I'm thinking, well, they obviously know who I am because they've been nicked me so many fucking times.
Right.
But they're looking at the jacket. So they've gone back, looked through the things, went, fuck me, that's him. He's wearing a jacket on the robbery. We've got to have him. So they've nicked me for all the robberies. So they've come around, nicked me at gunpoint, ambushed me as I smashed every window out of my car, fucking mental, dragged me out, guns up to my head. So they said, and they verbaled me as well, which was funny. Do you know what verbling is? It's when the police try and slip the evidence in their favour by saying that when you was arrested, you said certain things. Right. Now, this is what I'm supposed to have said. They said, you're under arrest. I said to Smith, you're under arrest for several armed robberies in the Greater London area in the last few months, to which Smith replied, I'm glad you finally caught me. I might have killed someone. What as if I'm going to say that?
It sounds just like you.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm fucking delighted. But, so I'm nicked for that. And I ended up having 2 trials at the Old Bailey. First trial, the jury couldn't agree, right? And after about 6 days, the judge called the jury in, because I'm up for 8 counts of armed robbery, 8 counts of firearms. Judge called the jury in and went, he said, answer this yes or no. If I was to allow you the weekend to deliberate, could you reach a verdict on any of these counts? And the foreman went, not if we say it till Christmas. He said, no, would have done. So I'll get a retrial. So everyone in the Old Bailey, all the barristers and all that, going, he's getting fucking off this case. Well, I had a really good defence. So eventually, I have the retrial 2 weeks later, and I get the worst jury ever. 10 women, all middle-aged, and 2 geezers that look like Colonel Blimp. You know what I mean? RAF types, big moustaches and eyes down all the time. So I went up in front of them, and here's the funny thing. It's me retrial. All I need is 2 jurors to say, we don't believe it, and it gets thrown out. Now, there's a bird at the front of the jury, and I'm not kidding you, she looks the image of Fred West. This is one ugly woman, mate, seriously. But here's the thing. Well, I'm still quite slim then. I've got my hair and I've got my teeth and that, I'm a bit of a jack the lad. So when I'm coming into the court, every time I look over at the jury, she's smiling at me. So I'm like, giving it that. So now it becomes a thing during the trial. Every day we come in, I nod to her, she nods to me. Said to me, barrister, I said, I got one of the jury. He said, who? I said, see the bird looks like Fred West? He went, yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not who, yeah. I said, it's her. He said, oh, brilliant. He said, all you need is one more. If she convinces someone, you're laughing. So we've gone all through the trial. Every time I'm in there, I'm looking at her, she's looking at me, smiling. At the end of the trial, the jury go out, they're out 2 hours. Bear in mind the other jury were out 6 days, couldn't reach a verdict. 2 hours, this mob. And they said that they called me back on themselves when they've got a verdict. So I went, fucking hell, that was quick. Got back into the court, and there she is, smiling at me. So the judge says, I believe you've reached a verdict. So he said, who's the foreperson of the jury? It's her. She stood up, I am. And with that, I'm thinking, I'm going home tonight, mate. This is brilliant. This is not guilty. So he said, they're reading out counts. So he said, on count one, bear in mind, if I get done for one, I'm going away for life, 2-strike life. Count one, how do you find the defendant? And she looked at me and went, guilty. I went, what? You know, I mean, all that time she'd been smiling at me, really, she's thinking I'm guilty. And then they'd done it all with all the counts.
Wow.
But I know I'm going away for life on one. Wow. So now I've been found guilty. I'm getting a life sentence. I've got nothing to lose. So I start giving it to the jury, a proper, mate, and the judge, and you, shut up, you fat bastard, and all that. Proper giving it. They've dragged me out of the box. Scrooge had dragged me downstairs in the Old Bailey and put me in a cell. And they had to call me up 2 hours later. They said, you're not going to say anything. I said, I'll say what I fucking like. He's giving me life anyway. Gone back up again. And I looked over at the jury and I went, you bastards. And they've gone to drag me out again. And as they're dragging me off, I've shouted out, I hope all your kids have bald heads and walk sideways. And all shit like that. They're dragging me down the stairs. So eventually I come up and the judge, Walter Rayling QC, horrible bastard. He takes great pleasure in giving me 8 life sentences,
wow,
plus 8 lots of 10 years for the firearms charges. So that's 8 life sentences and 80 years, but it's concurrent, so it's 1 life sentence. So he said it was brand new, the sentence at the time. Nobody knew what the tariffs were going to be. So he gave me a 12-year tariff, which was the second highest one given out. The first one was a guy called Rookie Lee, East London bloke, a lovely fella. He shot at a police though, so he got a 12-year tariff as well. So when they give me a 12-year tariff and I hadn't fired off any shots, that was my appeal thing. So I appealed and they cut my sentence down to an 8-year tariff. And I ended up serving 12 years. So I've done the 12 years anyway.
Why was that? Just
because they just, even though they cut the sentence, I went up for parole 4 times and they kept refusing me because of my record. They said, look, every time you get out, you're robbing fucking banks and security vans. Why would we give you parole? And on the 4th time, I was kind of a model prisoner. I'll tell you why it happened, Terry. I'm sorry about that. I forgot that. What happened was, get me life sentences, category A prisoner, into Belmarsh. I'm on the House Block 4, which was the category A wing. I'm there with loads of great people who I've known for years, you know what I mean? A lot of East Enders there at that time, to be honest with you. I wasn't the only South Londoner in there. But so I'm there and they've sent me to Whitemore. The one prison I didn't want to go to, Whitemore, it was the worst jail at the time for violence and whatever. But I thought, fuck it, if I'm going there, I'm going there. So I go to Whitemore. And then in 2001, I'm coming back from tea in Whitemore. A mate of mine, Bud Armstrong, he's dead now as well. He just died recently, poor fella, big Geordie. And Bud says to me, there's a priest down the end of the landing. And he went, someone's in for some bad news. And I laughed and went, yeah. Because the only time you see a priest, imam, a rabbi, a vicar on the wings in the dispersal, it's bad news for someone. Sure enough, I get down to the door and it's fucking me he's waiting for. So he went, Noel Smith. I went, no. And I've gone into myself with my tea and slammed the door. I don't want to hear it. So he's banging on the door. He said, Mr. Smith, he said, I have to speak to you. So he's called a screw down to open the door. I went, fuck off. He's called a screw down to open the door. And he's opened the door. I said, look, what do you want? And he said, I'm sorry to tell you. He said, your son, Joseph, is dead. He died outside. He was 19. So I'm there. I went, no. I said, that's bollocks, mate. I went, you've got the wrong person. I went, go on, fuck off. I can't believe it. You know, I mean, I don't want to believe it. So he said, yeah. He said, we're going to give you some units to phone up your wife. She wants you to phone straight away. So I phoned up. I said, is it true? She said, yeah. And I thought, Jesus. He was 19 years old. He'd been getting into trouble with the police. He'd been following in my footsteps. And I didn't like it, but I hadn't seen him for a while, but and I'm starting 8 life sentences. I'm about 3 years into it. So I had a word with a mate of mine, Kevin Lane, and Kevin was doing life at the time, and he said to me, look, he said they have to let you go to the funeral. So I said, I don't know if they're going to. So he said, yeah. He said they have to. He said, and worst way, they've got to let you go to the chapel of rest. So I went, all right. So I'm speaking to the priest. He said, yeah. He said, you'll be able to go to your son's funeral. So I went, great. So a couple of days later, they called me up into the wing office, and there was a security governor there. And I know his name. I won't say it. I won't embarrass him. But he was a screw in Rochester in 1978, and I hit his mate in the face with a ladle and broke his jaw. And he was one of the screws that dragged me down the block and like give me a right hiding. But now he's head of security. He's the top man of security in Whitemore. So they called me in the office, and when I see him, I knew it was going to be no. So he said to me, there's about 5 screws in the office and me. And he went, tell us why we should allow you out to attend your son's funeral. So I said, look, to be honest, I said, it's a matter of honour. If you let me out on my own, I would come back, and I would. That's what I'm like. If I've got honour, if they say you can go there but you got to come, I will do that. You know what I mean? It's my son. So eventually he said, you're not begging enough. I've just looked at him. I went, what?
Fucking dirty.
Yeah, he went, you're not begging enough. So I went, all right then. I said, please let me go and sit to my son's funeral and comfort my family. He went, nah. And that was it. Back to the cell. Now I'm raging. Got back to the cell, spoke to a few of the lads on the wing, and they're all hard bastards. These are proper criminals, right? And they were gutted. And some of them said to me, listen, what we got to do here is we got to make a stand. Right? So he said, what we're going to do, we've got a plan. So we're going to get some buckets tomorrow from the cleaning, fill them up with water and washing up liquid. So we're going to pour it all over the floor of the wing and then ring the alarm bells. And when they come through slipping on it, we're going to batter the shit out of them. Do you fancy that? So I said, yeah, I'll have some of that. But overnight I thought about it. I thought, no, I don't want that to be the tribute to my dead son. Now we're bashing up screws in fucking Whitemore. This life ain't the life for me, man. It really ain't. So I cancelled it. I said, no, don't do that. So eventually Kevin was right. They had to let me go to the chapel of rest. So they done it on the spur of the moment, called me down at 10 o'clock one morning, the day before his funeral, and threw me into a van with 8 screws and took me from Whitemore in Cambridgeshire down to South London, down to the funeral home. Never told anyone I was coming. I was just lucky. My wife happened to be there at the time, and 2 of my kids were there as well. So I got to see them. I'm double cuffed. They got 8 screws, plus they've got a police van full of police officers parked over there, 2 motorbikes parked there with coppers on them, in case anyone tries to break me out, even though nobody knows I'm going there. And I've got out of the van, went into the chapel of rest. There's my son in his coffin, and I'm handcuffed to 2 screws. So I try and lean down to kiss his face, and they drag me back up. So now I'm like that with a screw over my son's body, and I'm thinking, fuck this. So the other screw goes, no, calm down, let him kiss him. So I've kissed my son's head, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to kill you bastards when I get back to the jail. So I've seen me missus, seen me other kids, and I wasn't allowed out for the funeral. The funeral was the next day, and they allowed me to go to the chapel for an hour. I said, I'm an atheist. Why would I want to go to the fucking chapel? I want to go to my son's funeral with my family. So eventually I thought to myself, you know what? It then hit me, Terry. I thought, I'm 49 or whatever I was. I'm walking around the fucking top security landing as I'm Jack the Biscuit and planning all future robberies when I'm doing 8 life sentences. My family are out there suffering without me. And I started thinking then, what the fuck have I been doing all my life? You don't stop and think. Because you're so fast going at it and you don't know anything else, it made me stop and think. And I went, this ain't the life I want. This ain't the life that my family should be going through either. And then I thought about all the things I've done over the years, and it was just, I had an epiphany.
It must have been heartbreaking.
It was, mate. I mean, you can't even grieve in prison, you know what I mean? You can't, because your door's open every day, same as everyone else. And I thought to myself, I spoke to a few people and I said, look, I've got to do something with my life. I can't be just rotting in jail for the rest of my life. And a couple of geezers suggested me, try Grendon Prison in Buckinghamshire. He said, you've got to volunteer. He said, there's a lot of wrong uns there, but it's a good jail if you fancy really working on changing your lifestyle. So I thought, fuck it, I'll do it. And everyone was glad to see me go there. Nobody slagged me off for going there. And I ended up going to Grendon Prison. I spent 5 years in there doing daily therapy. I'd done psychodrama, all sorts of mad shit, and it really, really worked. It really did. And Ray done it as well, Ray Bishop. Some of us, Tony Argent, we would have like the first generation of what you'd call proper criminals who ended up in Grendon, because before that it was all dodgy people. Right. And normal criminals would say, no, I'm not going there to rehabilitate. You have to mix with the nonces. You don't really. The thing about it is the nonces have their own wing, right, like the child killers and that. But the people you have to mix with are people who you wouldn't mix with in the prison system. Granny bashers, someone who's killed old people, you know, rapists, people like that. And the 3 rules at Grendon was no drugs, no violence, no sex. That was for the sex offenders, I should imagine. And if you left your chair during a conversation to attack somebody, you'd go straight back to your prison. But you could challenge people, and it was like a semi-democratic prison. And it was about 5 years I've done it there. And I ended up coming out there thinking I was a fucking therapist because I understood so much. But I grew really sick of certain buzzwords and phrases that they use in therapy, like, what is it? What sort of a place does that put you in? What? You know, how you feeling now about that? What? Fuck off. But I was in there for 5 years. But I will tell you one funny thing about it, amongst all this sadness. I didn't know what Grendon was going to be like. All I'd heard was the rumours, the bad monsters in there. And I get in, the day I come, they take me off the van, bring me into reception. It's the first prison reception I've been in where they call me by my first name and ask me if I want a cup of tea and sugar in it. Wow. In other receptions, fuck off, through there, bomb, bomb, bomb. Here, all right, no. And telling me their names. I can't, for my first year, I couldn't call them by their names. I couldn't. It was too ingrained into me. But here's the funny bit. I get there, they've brought a geezer from another prison, right, as well. So when we've gone through reception, they've put us in this room with magazines and like to wait for the wings. So I hadn't spoke to this geezer yet. So he's sitting in a chair there, I'm sitting here, and he suddenly went, I went, I'm looking at him. Now the thing's coming into my head. They said there was going to be some right sex offender monsters here. I bet he's one of them. So he goes, and he pulls up his jumper and he's got like all bandages where he's been stabbed. I'm thinking he's definitely a fucking wronger. But now I'm brand new in the prison. I'm thinking, should I just weigh him in and go back and try this another time? Seriously, that's how prison gets you.
Right.
He might be a right bad one. And while I'm thinking about it, the screw comes to the door and takes him out. So eventually, he's gone to his wing, the screws come to take me out. And I went to him, who was that geezer? What was wrong with him? He went, what? I said, the geezer who was in there with the bandages all around his stomach. He said, he's deaf. So he was asking for a roll-up or something, you know what I mean? And here's me thinking he's got me a wrong in the way he's talking. But he was just deaf. Right. And I've seen him a lot of times since then. He was a burglar or something.
Right.
But, yeah, that was the only funny bit in it. But I've done 5 years in Grendon, made a lot of good mates in there. And I've been out ever since. I got a job on Inside Time. Right. I wrote my first book in jail. What happened was, when I was out in 88, I was out of a prison sentence in 88, and I'd written a few little bits and pieces for The Guardian. And John McVicar was working for Punch magazine. So John wanted to interview me. We'd met each other a few years before. So I've gone down, I've met up with John. He's done an interview with me for Punch, took a photo outside the pub and all that. So, geez, when I look at that photo now, I was about 19 stone, glasses, like hair all over the gaff, like a right big monster. But, yeah, so I've got to know John McVicar again. So he introduces me. What he does is, when I get out, he phones me up, John, and he says, listen, Will Self, the writer, wants to speak to you. He really likes your short stories. So I said, oh, yeah. I don't even know who Will Self is at this time. I went, oh, yeah, that's good. He said, yeah, he's having a dinner party Saturday and he wants you to come. So I'm a week out of jail and I'm working class, mate. I've never been to a dinner party. I don't know how to behave.
You used to sit there with it on your lap, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's sitting on the toilet eating it. Quick. So he says, yeah, he said, party Saturday. I said, I don't fancy it, John. He said, I'll be there. So I went, it'd be good to see you. Yeah, as long as it ain't just like all posh people, as long as me and you are there, we can have a chat. I'll feel all right. So he said, all right. So I turn up Saturday, 8 o'clock at Will Self's door. So the first thing he says when he opens the door, he went, John phoned, he can't make it.
He's like, fucking hell.
Bastard. So now I'm in there and I'm intimidated because there's 3 journalists, him and his 2 mates. And I know these kids have been to public school. They've got money. He gets paid £1 million a book, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't belong here, mate. What am I doing in this big house? So he's went, come down to the kitchen, which is where they was eating, basement. Gone down there. This is so-and-so. I think he works on the Times, and this is so-and-so who works on so-and-so. How you doing? Yeah. And the telly's on in the background, and they're talking about the Middle East crisis. I don't understand none of it. And they're asking me questions about it. What do you reckon of that? Do you think so-and-so? And I'm like, they think I'm their equal. And in my head, I'm thinking, mate, you shouldn't be here. You don't belong here. You know what I mean? You're like fucking, I don't know. But but it turns out they were lovely fucking people. The first thing he says to me is, do you smoke? So I went, what, cigarettes? He went, no, a bit of weed. I went, yeah. He went, well, big old pint glass. Remember the old pint glasses with the handle? Yeah. About 15 spliffs all rolled. He went, that's Colombian, that's so-and-so. Oh, now I'm relaxed. I went, whoa, do you want a beer? So I went, yeah. He's opened this big walk-in freezer. He went, what do you want, German, Swiss, blah, blah, blah. I went, anything will do. So I'm there with my bottle of beer and me spliff. And they're all smoking spliffs as well. Right. Will was really into drugs at this time. He ain't now.
Right.
He gave it all up a few years later, which was a funny story as well. But they've got me in there, so I've had a spliff and now I feel relaxed. I've had a few things of beer. So the first course comes. Will's cooking it. We're at a table. So he brings over this bowl of what looks to me like tomato soup. So they're all chatting away and eating and everything. So I put my joint down, it's freezing cold. It's gazpacho. But I don't know.
Well, she said, mate, the soup's cold.
Yeah. I went, you ain't even cooked this, mate. I said, it's freezing. And they all started laughing. I'm like, what? No, he said, no, it's supposed to be eaten cold like that, chilled. Okay. So, anyway, cut a long story short, we're there all night and we end up having a right fucking laugh. We're all stoned out of our nuts. And then about 10 o'clock, they start doing the Charlie. And then I wasn't into it at that time. I was into the weed. So and I never got into it, to be honest. And then it was vodka shots. He's got about 3 bottles of Stolichnaya in his freezer, right? They come out, they're walloping back. Well, I've had a few, couple of. Now it's about 12 o'clock at night. The other 2 have got to go. So I said, all right, Will. I said, listen, can you call me a cab? I live down the road. So he's got, no. He said, you don't need a cab. I've got a car outside. I've seen him drink half a bottle of vodka, snort a load of gear, smoke about 8 spliffs, right? And I've gone to him.
I don't want to die.
Yeah, but I don't really feel like I'm in a position to say that to him, you know what I mean? Like, he's offered to give me I think maybe that's his normal thing. He does that every day, which he did. So he's gone, come down. So he's got a Volvo estate at 740, and behind him, there was a red Bentley parked in his street, and it belonged to Dominic Grieve, who was the fucking justice minister or something at the time, lived next door to him. So we've got in Will's car, scruffy old black car, right, and I'm not joking, it's the filthiest car inside I've ever seen. Right. Piles of newspapers, McDonald's cups, everything, the whole lot of these bags everywhere. So, and the seat ain't bolted down, the passenger seat. He said, be careful with that seat, it's got to be bolted down, I'm taking it to the garage. So now he starts driving, right? I kid you not, Terry. He's doing 70 mile an hour down this little street and not even looking, talking to me while he's doing it. Yeah, so blah, blah, blah. And I'm shitting myself, but I'm thinking, and I'm going, oh, look. No, I've seen it. Boom, ran the bus. You know what I mean? So he drives me home. Get down to my mum's estate, Stockwell Park estate. He pulls in. So he said, you fancy a smoke for later? So I said, yeah, thinking he's going to give me a spliff. Pulls a Sainsbury's carrier bag out the back of the car, right? big front page of the Guardian, and starts handfuls of fucking gear. Rolls up a big ball. He went, that's for later. I'm not joking, it was about 1 kilo. I went, fucking hell. So that was our first met Will. And then years later, he started, when I went back to prison, he tried to get me a job at the Guardian.
Right.
And I went up there, but I kind of pissed him off, you know what I mean? Because I ended up, he got me an agent, right, a woman. And what happened was I pulled up outside her offices to go and see her for an interview to see if she was going to handle my writing, and got into an argument with a traffic warden outside and nutted him while she was looking out the window. And she kind of said, no, I can't really, he's too volatile for me. So I ended up back in prison for another load of robberies. And Will come up to see me in Belmarsh. And he went, look, he said, I'll come and see you. He said, and I'll help you as much as I can. He said, but only if you're going to go straight. He said, I can't. He said, if you're just going to get out and do robberies again, he said, I can't afford to invest anything in you. He said, you know, because you're just going to be a criminal. He said, I think you've got more than that. I think you're a bit brighter than that. So I said, yeah. And that was when I started cracking down. And my son died, as I said, when I was in prison. And Will come up to see me 2 weeks after my son died. And he kept telling me, you should write a book, you should write a book. But I used to go, oh, mate, there's 1 million of them out there. Dave Courtney's written about 40. Other people have written, there's too many of them. And he's going, no, but yours will be unique. I said, how will it be unique? And he, in the end, I've read a few of them.
Say it'd be true.
Yeah, that was it. He said it would be true. So I said, what do you mean? He said, read all their books. He said, they've never lost a fight. They've always nicked £1 million. You know, nothing bad's ever happened in their lives. He said, tell the fucking truth for once and let us know what it's really like. So I said, nah, I'm not interested. Then when my son died, I was embarrassed. I had no money to pay for the funeral. It was paid for by my in-laws, who I didn't get on well with.
Right.
So, and all this money I'd had over the years, and suddenly my son dies. I can't even afford $4,000 for the fucking funeral. So I got Will up on a visit, and I said, listen, I said, do you think I'll be able to get any money if I wrote a autobiography? He went, yeah. I said, what, about $3-4 grand? He said, yeah. So I said, all right, then I'll do it. I'll write 3 chapters. I said, will you look after it for me? He went, yeah, I'll sort it out. So I wrote 3 chapters, sent them out to him. I'm in Whitemore at the time. And I get a letter back, and he says, 3 publishing companies are interested in it. He said, but I would go with Penguin if I was you. He said, they're offering £30,000. He said, the others are offering more. He said, but they're going to use it as a tax loss. And he said, Penguin have never, ever put out a true crime memoir before in their history. And they want to start with this one. I had a great editor, Tony Lacey. He loved the book. He absolutely loved it. And when I first supplied it to him, it was about 780 words long. They cut it down to about 400. It was still a big book.
Right, what was it called?
A Few Kind Words and a Loaded Gun.
That's right. So that was the debut book.
Yeah. Right. And on the front is a picture of me with a gun and my son when he was a toddler.
Love that.
And so a lot of it, that went out. By this time, I'm already a fat, baldy geezer in jail. That was me when I was 21 on the cover. I started getting letters from women all over the fucking world. I am not kidding you, mate. So at one stage, I'm getting, like, say, about 150 letters, fan mail, all from women. Some of them are sending photos. One bird sent a box of underwear that she wanted me to sign them all the copies, probably put on eBay or something.
You like the Tom Jones of armed robbers, weren't you?
I don't understand. I think this is normal, right? So I ain't got a clue. So Will comes up on a visit and he went, I said to him, what'd you do about all the women that write to you? You must have had loads of them over the years. He went, what? I said, you've got 33 books out. Surely you get messages from women, knickers and all that. He went, no. He said, I've only had one fan. He was a geezer. He was a bit bent. He said, and he was also mentally ill. He said, I've never had a letter about any of my books. So I'm thinking, fuck me. So all these women are mad. And all they're telling me about is how they'd like to have sex with me, where it's got to be in a graveyard, on a train, on a boat, blah, blah, blah. And they're going into great detail. And like sending me photos and everything. The screws are like
Did
that.
they all look like Fred West, or was there any
Some
sorts?
of them did. But some of them were absolutely gorgeous. I couldn't believe, what the fuck are you writing to me for? And the screws, when they called me down for the knickers, there was a big box of knickers. They said, you got to sign all these and send them back out, you know. So I'm there signing knickers in the prison reception.
Do you know what? You must be the only bank robber in history that has signed knickers for fans. That you must be the only one.
It's got to be true.
You should
It's gotta be
contact
true,
the Guinness Book of Records.
Oh my God. So yeah, I'm there and I've picked out I thought, right, and went through Grendon. The book's still out there. I've written another couple of books and now I'm getting even more letters and I get to, they send me to Blantyre House after I've done 5 years and that's a semi-open. So I thought, right now I'm in Blantyre House, I'm going to be getting weekends out after 3 months. So I thought I'll pick out a few of these birds. So I've picked out about 4 or 5 of them, wrote to them, one in Kent, one in Southend, one in Hampshire, made sure they was all spread out all over the place. Right? So I was writing to them and saying, oh yeah, I'm getting an home leave. Do you fancy me coming down? Yeah, come down, I'll make you a big dinner and all that. Right. So every time I was getting home leaves or days out, I was going to different birds. None of them knew about each other and they all thought they were the only one. So I'm going back and I'll tell you an interesting thing.
I'll take it at this point you changed. It's not Noel Razor Smith, it's Noel Playboy Smith.
But I'll tell you one thing about Blantyre House, because it was a semi-open prison. Right. It's the only prison I've ever been in where the only drug dealer was a Viagra dealer. Right. Because everybody's getting out every week, so you want your Viagra.
I want the bluey, yeah.
So I ended up like rumping about, I think it was about 5 or 6 birds, like week in, week out. And eventually it got too much. You know what? They're phoning you up and you can't remember which day you're supposed to be going out. And I thought, fuck it. So I cut it all down to 1. And bird in Southend. No, in Hampshire, Southampton. So I ended up, when I got parole, I ended up living with her for about a couple of years. And that's how I ended up down that neck of the woods for about 12 years, you know. Right. And I was down in Fareham. We split up and I got a place round the corner. And what happened was I was working for Inside Time. I was commissioning editor, which I still am on the paper. Right. That's my day job. And I'm in the office one morning. I've been out for about 2 years. I'm in the office one morning, and this scruffy-looking geezer comes in. We were up 3 floors. So he walks in the office. He said, I'm looking for Noel Smith. Now, I think he's a prisoner. He might have got out and come down to the paper because it's a prison paper. So I said, yeah. He said, can I have a word? I said, yeah. He's put his arm around me. Shut up. What the fuck? So he's gone, listen. He said, I've got an armed squad of police officers downstairs. I'm looking at him. He went, are you going to come quietly? Or are we going to have to come in here and get you? I went, what am I next for? He said, never mind that. He said, they're here. He's a copper. So I said, no, I've got nothing to hide. Gone down the stairs, raining. We're in an office block. There's all offices all around, right? Armed squad of police. Get on your knees. It's pissing down rain. I'm in a suit. Right? What? Get on your knees. Fuck's sake. So I'm on my knees in the puddles. Everyone's looking out the office windows. Hands behind your head. Hands behind me. And they're coming over with machine guns. I'm thinking everyone's looking at this. None of these people knew who I was before this, you know what I mean, except the people who worked in my office. So they've nicked me and they've said, we had reports that you had robbed the security van and shot a security guard at Eastleigh Station. We've got video, right? And I'm thinking, no, this ain't happening, you know. I mean, I'll come back to jail for something I've never fucking done. So they get me in a police station and I'm in there for about 4 hours pacing the cell thinking, oh man, all these years it took me to get out, I'm going back for nothing. And then it turned out someone had told them that they seen me with a sawn-off shotgun in my car. It's all bullshit. It was a bird. And what happened was 2 weeks later, a geezer got shot, security guard, while they're robbing the van. But the geezer who shot him was a black fella. You could see it clearly. The white fella was with him, but the geezer who'd done the shooting was a black fella. He ended up nicked, ended up getting life. But they got me for that. And it wasn't nothing. It was just the fact that I was living in their area. They knew of me previous and thought, yeah, he's got to be at it. They sent pictures round and the flying squad went, yeah, white one looks like Smith. And in the end, they had to apologise and let me go. But what an embarrassment, you know what I mean? I had to go back to them offices.
I bet you thought, because straight away you're like, what the fuck? I'm going back.
Yeah, it was terrifying, mate. It really was. Because you imagine 35 years, well, 34 years I've done in prison, all told, in about 36 different prisons. And when you think you've finally got out of that and you think, right, I ain't never doing nothing to go back again, and suddenly you're nicked for something that ain't nothing to do with you, that's when you realise what injustice is.
Yeah.
Because in your head, you're thinking, how can I explain this away? Even though I haven't done it, look at me, look who I am. You know, they're bound to believe this is fucking me. But lucky enough, I mean, they let me go. And ever since then, like, I haven't had no ag whatsoever off them. Brilliant. I think they realised from that. I'll tell you what happened as well. When they was letting me go, the 2 CID brought me back to my flat. They drove me back because it was miles away from where I lived. And when I got on the way back, one of them went, I knew you'd never done that shooting and you never had a gun. I said, how do you know that then? He said, I searched your house and your car. And I went, yeah. And he went, well, he said, there was a baseball bat by the front door. He said, there was a hammer next to your bed. He said, if you had a gun, he said, they wouldn't have fucking been there, would they? So that's when I knew you was innocent. I thought, thank fuck I didn't have a gun.
But you've turned your life around.
Yeah.
You're now best-selling crime author. Would you say crime pays?
No, definitely not. Listen, let me tell you something. People say, have you got any regrets? Of course I have. I've got loads of regrets. I should never have done all that. I wasted my life. You see, youngsters, the trouble is they think it's glamorous. Even my own son thought it was glamorous what I was doing. It's not, mate. You know, it's great when you got a few quid in your pocket and you're swanning around the town in a car and everyone's loving you and you've got a nice place to live and nice clothes. But then you spend years where you're in fucking stinking punishment blocks with broken ribs, covered in your own blood and vomit, with years left to serve, and just the same vista every day. You're seeing the same people and the same fucking walls. It is nightmarish, mate, seriously. And I would never do any of it again if I had my chance. Seriously, I wouldn't. I would not go into crime. It's a waste of time. There's no money in it now anyway, right? It's pointless doing what I've done. You can't do it. Nobody's got any money. And the fact is that prison is not for the faint-hearted. I'll tell you something that I found out a few years ago. In our prisons, in the British prison system, the murder rate is 7 times higher than it is on the outside, in the outside country, for the amount of people. 7 times more likely to get murdered in a British prison than you are on the streets of Brixton. Now, when you think about that, and I've met so many people go mad in prison, mate. I was lucky I survived it. A lot of my mates went mad, ended up in Broadmoor and Rampton. A lot of them killed themselves, you know what I mean? Because they couldn't stand it every single day, the same old shit. And like I've seen youngsters coming in with like 34 wrecks and 35-year wrecks, and they don't realise their life's over, mate. They ain't, you know, you're not going nowhere. And all these young postcode gangs and all that, all this stuff they're doing now, it's not even worth a rub. They don't even realise that what they're doing is going to destroy them and destroy their families and destroy their friends. And that's what happened to me. I destroyed everything around me. I class myself as a gentleman robber. This is what we used to tell each other, all the armed robbers. Now, we ain't bad. What we do is we don't rob old grannies at a bingo takings. We don't nonce kids or beat people up. What we do is we take the money from institutions that can afford it, and all they do is put an extra penny on insurance. That's how we get by it. And when you're robbing places, you have to turn people into cardboard cutouts. You don't believe they're real, because if for a moment you take into account that they are actual human beings, you can't do it, mate. Right. You can't. So me herding people around with a shotgun, even though I know I'm not going to shoot them, they don't fucking know that. They're traumatised. And I'll tell you what brought it home to me. I got married after I got out. And my wife, about 6 years ago, was she was in a supermarket in Croydon that had a post office attached to it. And she was in there when it got robbed. 3 geezers come in, flew over the counter with axes, got the safe open, screaming and shouting, fired a shot into the ceiling. She wasn't near it. She was in the supermarket and could see it quite a way away. And she was traumatised for months after. She'd wake up in the night screaming and everything. I thought, I put people through that. I actually went in there and put guns up to people's heads. You know, they ain't to know that I'm not going to fucking kill them. Right. And I was a callous bastard. I remember somebody asked me, I've never shot anyone during a robbery, never. And somebody said to me, would you shoot someone? I was, yeah, of course I would. If it was a security guard or someone having to go, I'd shoot them in the leg. It ain't going to hurt them, is it? But then I think, you could blow someone's fucking leg off. You could kill someone and you think you're just doing a casual thing. And I didn't realise the stupidity of it was that I was nicked early on for something I didn't do. And I was immature about it. Instead of saying, right, well, let's find a way out of this, I sunk deeper and deeper into it. until eventually all I knew was prison and robbery.
Right.
I'm so well known in prison because I lived in there for so fucking long, you know what I mean? And, you know, you get to a stage where you're doing it, where you wake up, say, tomorrow morning or this morning, and suddenly a thought comes into your head and you say, well, another 9 years I'll be out. And then you're just devastated. It just ruins you. 9 years or 10 years. Or you don't know when you're getting out. There's loads of people doing 2-strike life sentences and imprisonment for public protection, IPPs, that have been in the jug for 20 years when they should have done about 2 years. And they're still in there and can't get out because there's no money to let them out. They have to do courses. They can't afford the courses. It's crazy, mate. You wouldn't believe what our system is like. It really is a third world type of system. People look at the British justice, and it's always been saluted all over the world. The British have the best justice in the world. They don't, mate. That's just a cover. There's geezers. I've been in with geezers who are definitely innocent. I know they're innocent 100%, and a lot of them did end up getting out and getting off. But the trouble is that once you go in there, they class you all as the same. You're all animals. Right. And the screws don't really, you know, there's some good screws, obviously, there has to be. But on the whole, nobody gives a shit. And one of the first stories I ever wrote was about being tortured in Wandsworth after we tried to escape in 1990 on a JCB. 7 of us ended up battered to shit and dragged down the block and charged with inciting mutiny and escape and all that. And I was in the block, and they had beat us up so badly that when I went out on a visit, I had a boot mark across my face, solid boot mark where they stamped on my face. And they broke one rib and cracked another rib in the cell, broke my nose, and I had blood coming out of one ear for a long time as well. I don't know what that was. They hit me with it. But the funny thing is, I'm not religious, but the only one who come down to see us in that block in Wandsworth was a priest, a Catholic priest. And he came to my door, and I said to him, listen, Father, because the screws don't come with him. I said, listen, we've all been badly battered down here. I said, you've got to get word out to solicitors so they can come and see us. You know what I mean? Let our families know we're all right. And he just looked at me and went, no, I can't do that. He said, the Home Office forbid it. But I'll pray with you. And got down on his knees. I went, fuck off, mate, get out. So religion to me was never a way out. So I never had that. Some people cling to that when they're in jail. The only thing that I really had going for me that kept me going through, 2 things kept me going through all them years. And one was my sense of humour.
Right.
And the other one was my capacity for rage and hate, because I could ball it all up in me and make me go another day just on hate, you know, things I was going to do, driving yourself mad, thinking, right, this is what I've got to do. And prison destroys a lot of people. It destroyed me. You know, you can't go to prison for them amount of years and come out untouched. You lose something in prison. And what you lose mainly is your humanity. Right. You lose the ability to talk to people. When I first got out of prison, it was outrageous how I was talking to people, because that's how you talk to people on the landings. Right. Like you see someone looking, who are you fucking looking at, mate? You know, just a normal bod walking down the street. You fucking looking at me because you're on edge all the time. You're paranoid. I've seen people scalded, stabbed. I've seen more dead bodies in jail than most people see in fucking Vietnam, seriously. And it's the prison system is a place where up to 250 prisoners die every year. Wow. You know, a lot of them are murders. I've seen murders happen right in front of me fucking eyes in the dispersals. But you've just got to turn away and say, well, you know, nothing to do with me. I don't know nothing about that. But prison ruins you. Slowly but surely, it takes everything you've got, mate. And the only thing it couldn't take from me was my sense of humour. And that was what got me through a lot of it, seriously.
And obviously, you've gone through all this stuff, Noel, and you're now obviously done these 9 books. What have you got anything planned for the future? Is there something that you want to do, or is there something you're working on, or something that you still want to achieve?
There's a lot of things I'd still like to. I mean, I'm still getting back with my family. My grandchildren, thank God, they never went through none of that. They never heard none of that. But my kids, it took me a long time to rebuild, you know, connections with my family. And it's still a bit shaky, but we're kind of getting there. It will take years. You know, I treat them like shit. I left my kids alone and went away to prison and never really cared. And then my son died when I was in jail, and that brought it home to me. But what I'm doing at the moment is, I think I've kind of done a lot of the things I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'm working for Inside Time, which is a fantastic national prisoners newspaper. Been going since the Strangeways riots. That's how it come about. Great people working on it. Ex-prisoners, does what it says on the tin, and I'm in touch with all the prisoners because I edit their letters. Right. We get about 300 letters from prison a month per issue, articles and stuff from prisoners. So I've still got my finger on the pulse as far as prisoners are concerned, with knowledge. But the more I learn about it, the more I learn about the changes that are happening, the more it frustrates me because nobody's going in the right direction. What they should do is, there's probably, I'm not joking, Terry, and this is my experience of being all them years in jail, there's probably about 6,000 people in this country, 6,000 maximum, who need to be in prison because of the public protection. People who you'd look at it and go, I do not want you out there with my family. Right. 6,000. We got 90,000 people in prison.
Wow.
Most of them are junkies who can't stop shoplifting to feed their rabbits, shoplifters, people who ain't paying fines, people who ain't paid their council tax, burglars who've nicked like a suitcase out of a boot of a car or something. These are the people who are in prison. We don't need to have that bigger prison system, but we love to punish in this country. We love to gild the lily when it comes to punishment. We have brought out the worst sentences, apart from America and Russia, the 2-strike life. I was doing the 2-strike life. That just melted. The one thing I never wanted to do when I was a criminal was to murder somebody, because I knew if I did, I'd be in prison for life and I probably wouldn't get out. And I ended up in prison for life for robbing a fucking bank. So they change things all the time. The IPP prisoners have been in there for years. Man, there's people dying in prison. There's no education. There's no rehabilitation. There's very little of it. There's no money for it. And people outside don't care. People outside don't realise that those people are going to be released one day, all but like 60 of them are whole lifers, and they're going to be living next door to them. Do you want them to come out as nice people who haven't been treated like animals, or do you want an animal living next door to you?
Well, let's hope somebody from the government or Keir Starmer is watching this, and maybe somebody like you needs to actually work with the government to help them put some changes through, because I think if you've got people in suits or bureaucrats dealing with this, you need someone who's actually been through it.
Yeah.
That knows how it works. Now,
well, Bobby Cummins is a prime example of that, mate. What a great geezer he is. All that bird he done.
Yeah.
Do you know what he done? He inveigled his way into these top offices and said, this is what we need to do. And they listened to him.
Yeah.
He got insurance for prisoners. When prisoners got out of prison, they couldn't get car insurance or anything. He set up he went to them and went, listen, you're missing out on all these people getting out. Give them insurance, you'll earn money.
Right.
And got people insurance and stuff. That's why he got his OBE, mate. He's a proper doer. Okay. I always admired Bobby, and there's certain other people as well who I admire. Andrew Pritchard.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Do you know Bobby?
Bobby Cummins, yeah.
I'd like to get him on here, actually.
Yeah, he's a lovely fella, mate.
Good fun.
He really is. He doesn't do a lot of these sort of things.
I think he did something on Lad Bible, but
he
came
done a
across
Lad
funny.
Bible.
Came across really funny.
Yeah. Oh, he is. Oh, man, he is. Have you ever read his book?
No.
Oh, it's fucking brilliant.
Right.
Out of all the criminal biographies I've read, I'd say his and Bruce Reynolds. Reynolds' book, mate. Autobiography of Thief, it's called. Yeah. And he's talking about in the 40s when he went and robbed the country house at a safe on a push bike, and he had the safe on the bike balanced and the wheels sunk into the ground when he was trying to get over a field. But he's just so good. He's a good writer, Bruce. I mean, you can tell that a lot of people get their books ghostwritten, and you can really tell because they all the same. Yeah. But the reason my book becomes so popular, and I really believe this is true, is everyone said it's the truth about what happened. I never won every fight. I got my fucking head kicked in. Every time I went in a bank, I didn't steal £1 million. Sometimes they said, fuck off, and I got nothing.
Right.
And I told people what it's like to be in jail and what it really is like. Never mind all that bravado, strutting around the landings, giving it the big, and yeah, you can do that. Loads of people do it, but where's it get you?
Right.
Nowhere. You're still doing your bird, mate. It's a disgrace.
Well, no, honestly, I've really enjoyed having you on. It's been so good hearing your stories, and yeah, I mean, thank you so much for coming on, Noel.
I really enjoyed it, Terry.
Really good to meet you.
Yeah,
us, and
good to meet you as well.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It's just brilliant. Really good.
Nice.
Really good. Nice. Thanks so much for tuning into the Criminal Connection podcast. Noel Razor Smith, what a great guest. Make sure you read that book. A Few Kind Words and a Loaded Gun. It's a bestseller. 1 million copies sold. Let's make it 2 million and keep Noel in the manner that he's accustomed to. He's done 34 years inside and he's an advocate for crime not paying. Thank you again for tuning in, and make sure you like, subscribe, tell all your friends about us, and we'll see you next week. We've got another amazing guest, and we'll see you on the other side.